I'm going to hand you over to Greg Hughes. Greg, good morning.
Are you all excited for this morning, Lee?
I am. It's going to be good. It's going to be
gonna watch the
interesting.
game?
Is Oisin coming in to you to have a chat about it?
I don't know. Caroline is Oisin. Yeah, he is.
Ah, that's good.
Obviously couldn't have got anyone else, no?
No.
Oh my God, give me the dirt look. I'm only joking, Oisin.
No, we're only joking. There was a man from America singing his praises, Oisin Kelly, how good Oisin is. I told him, and Oisin goes,
Brilliant. Commentary is brilliant as well, particularly.
yeah, but this will be good then. So
It's exciting now.
yeah,
Isn't it?
it is. I'm not a big sporty.
No,
I can
clearly
jump on.
you're not. I listen to your handovers to Oisin on a daily basis.
Well,
and
I
you
try my best.
Well,
you
that's
know?
about that.
Well, there's no point me bluffing.
Well, that's exactly what you do.
No, I don't bluff. I just pass over, say now for the sport is Oisin Kelly or Chris or.
Anyway, so you'll watch it anyway.
Well, I'm going to have it on the radio. I'm going to be doing other things, but I'll keep an eye on it.
Radio. You're going to have it on the radio, but we're not broadcasting the live commentary.
No, but you'll probably update it as
Yeah,
it goes
I will.
along.
Okay.
I know, sure, I'll be listening.
Good. I'll let you away with that.
All right, thanks.
All right, Lee, enjoy it. If you can stay awake that long, you probably due a snooze. All right, it is the 9 till noon show just around the corner. Let's get a news update, though, now at 9 o'clock, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Investigations are continuing after a number of packages containing suspected cocaine washed up on 2 beaches in Donegal yesterday. One package was spotted on Ballyhern Beach in Fanad, with another later reported at Tramore Beach in Dunfanaghy. Gardaí are appealing to people along the North Donegal coastline to keep an eye out for suspicious material in the coming days. Cahirlock of the Glenties Municipal District, Councillor Michael McClafferty, says yesterday's discovery is more evidence of the need for additional Garda resources to patrol the county's coastline.
The drugs problem is not going to be sorted unless there's resources there in place to deal with it. So we need to get a hell of a lot more resources in Donegal. We need to get more resources, particularly now, more than ever, to even patrol the beaches, possibly a guard patrolling our waters like they do in other countries.
Middle to higher income renters in Ireland are facing steeper housing costs than their European neighbours. New research from the ESRI measured the level of net income spent on rent and mortgages across 15 similar European economies. It found Ireland ranks 6th on average. However, when broken down into income brackets, those on the higher end of the scale struggled more with affordability. 14% of middle to higher income households in Ireland spend 30% of their income on housing, compared to just 3% of households on average elsewhere. The report's author, Dr. Rachel Slaymaker, says a significant age divide has also emerged when it comes to home ownership.
Traditionally, Ireland has been very much a homeowner society. So of these 15 countries, Ireland ranks 4th for home ownership in households aged 40 plus. But when we look at younger households, this falls to only 10th out of the 15 countries. So Ireland actually sees one of the biggest sort of gaps between rates of home ownership for younger versus older households.
Donegal County Council is being urged to provide for the increased number of electric vehicles on the roads by installing more charging points in the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. A council spokesperson said additional EV charging points are not provided for in the draft local transport plan, but says there may be revisions under the Climate Action Plan. Councillor Donald Coyle is asking the council to follow the lead of other local authorities across the country.
The first national electric vehicle charging infrastructure strategy was published there in January. The Minister for Transport said that local authorities will play a vital role in the rollout of these. There's a pilot scheme in Finglas where there are electric vehicle charging hubs done by Dublin County Council. It seems to be going very successfully, and that's the kind of thing that we need in this county.
Finally, for weather, today will bring sunny spells and scattered showers, though mostly drying up for the afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
My perfect escape would be
a city break, somewhere with loads to do.
nothing. Just relax and go.
Out. Dinner and drinks in the hotel before heading
To bed. Nice and early for an amazing night's sleep.
At Maldron Hotels, we provide you with everything you need to escape your way across Ireland and the UK. Save on every room, every night when you book direct with Click on Maldron at maldronhotels.com.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It's 4 minutes past 9, Thursday the 20th. 20th of July 2023, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show, and it's busy. We're going to be previewing the big game, kickoff 11 o'clock, Ireland taking on Australia. Dare we dream of a result? Fingers crossed. Oisín will be joining us as well as others to discuss that. By the way, if you're watching the game, a watch party, are you organising anything? Have you done anything interesting to watch the game, or maybe you're watching it out foreign? We want to know what you're up to. If you're watching the game, let us know. 086 60 25,000. As I say, maybe you're having a watch party, maybe you're sitting on a beach with your laptop out somewhere, I don't know, but involve us. We want into your life. We want to know the ins and outs of your private life. Not really, but 086 60 25,000. If you're outside the Republic, 00353 86 60 25,000. Give us your predictions as well. How do you think the game will go? We want your views on that. Give us a call as well, by the way, to speak to the team, Caroline and Niamh. 07491 25,000. Again, from outside the Republic, 00353 7491 25,000. So if you're maybe you're away from home at the moment, it's a different time zone or whatever, and you listen or watch the show, let us know what you're doing for the Ireland game. And as I say, we'll talk more about that as the morning wears on. We're going to preview also the Merryfun Dunlow Festival. We'll have two of the organisers in to do that. Are we doing gardening today? No, we are doing gardening. Okay, so we've got gardening polls in, answering your gardening questions. You can get them into us. I've just mentioned the numbers. You know what to do. That and so much more besides. And it's Thursday, which means there's a load of papers. So let's run through to see what's making some of the headlines. The Tyrconnell Tribune this morning, as Donegal County Council begins contacting farmers about land acquisition to progress the Bonagee Link Road and the bridge over the Swilly. The start date for the project is optimistically expected to be 2027, another 4 years away. The cost of the project was initially estimated by Leo Varadkar, Minister for the Environment, 9 years ago at 45 mil. Given the size of the project, it cannot be funded through a PPP, public-private partnership model, but rather must be funded by direct exchequer funding, said the Minister. Known in the Letterkenny Inner Relief Road, or as the Letterkenny Inner Relief Road, with a bridge over the Swilly, the plan has been in the pipeline for a generation or more, and with traffic congestion a feature of driving through Letterkenny, the work cannot come quick enough. Okay, so optimistic start date for that, 2027. It's the most anticipated roads project, I would say, in the county. We've got some that are very highly anticipated. The Donegal News this morning, there is a picture on the front of the Irish team, namely Amber Barrett. Amber Barrett is there, and also Ciara Grant. But the main news story, a major investigation has been launched following the discovery of a number of packages containing suspected cocaine, which was washed up in Fanad and Dunfanaghy. We're going to be talking about this as well. Were you one of those that found it? Had you spotted these packages previously? Are you out looking this morning, helping the Gardaí? 086 60 25,000. Well, the shocking discovery of the first package was made yesterday morning at 8:30am at Ballyhiernan Beach, Fanad. A half hour later, Gardaí were alerted by the public to another similar package at Tramore Beach, Dunfanaghy. The large packages, which appear to be wrapped in black plastic, are suspected of containing a substance which is believed to be the controlled drug cocaine. On Garda Síochána recovered both packages, the contents of which are now subject to analysis by Forensic Science Ireland, and the scenes were subject of a technical examination by the Divisional Scenes of Crime Unit. So as I say, maybe it was you that came across those or spotted them and ignored them, thinking there was something else. Let us know. 086 60 25,000. On to the Donegal Democrat and concerns over dubious and unlicensed clothing bags that are appearing, or banks that are appearing in and around public areas within the municipal district, was brought to the attention of officials and councillors of the Donegal Municipal District at its recent July meeting by Councillor Noel Jordan. He told fellow councillors that he had observed a number of these clothing bins in the area. A number have been planted around the place and they appear out of nowhere, and it all sounds suspicious to me, he said. He referred to the fact that one of them, which had been located beside the community centre in Mount Charles, had been moved 4 times. Councillor Jordan suggested that whoever is providing these unsolicited bins are doing it themselves, and that some of these are really bogus, as there was little to identify where their origins were, and who was to be the beneficiary when the clothes were collected. What's going on there? Random clothes bins appearing around South Donegal. The councillor also claimed that locals were getting the blame for discarded articles, which he said was obvious. These collectors were just casually tossing aside when they came back to take the contents of these bins. Anyone out there come across them can tell us a little bit more about what is going on there. Maybe you're responsible for them and it's a bit of a misunderstanding. Let us know. 086 60 25,000. The Derry News tells us that August's Ebrington Square events are in doubt as negotiations drag on between the Executive Office and a third party understood to be the newly opened Ebrington Hotel. Now, of course, they went to press yesterday evening. I believe that there's a more optimistic mood at the moment, and that the Ebrington Hotel has said that it's happy enough for them to go ahead. We're going to be chasing the follow-up to that story for you a little later on, but it looks like those 4 concerts are now going to be going ahead. There was quite a public backlash, it seems, against the hotel. I know there was some level of an organised poor reviews. You know what I mean? Do you know how you can review things? I think there was a bit of poor reviews being put up. And the ratings of the hotel dropped on some of these websites as well. But anyway, I'm not saying that was the motivation, but they seem to have softened their stance in that regard. The Irish Times this morning: Ireland has one of the biggest gaps in home ownership between younger and older people in Western Europe, a new report has found, even as housing here appears to remain relatively affordable overall compared with elsewhere. Close to 80% of people over the age of 40 in Ireland own their home, according to the report published by the Economic and Social Research Institute. Yet barely a third of adults younger than 40 are home owners. That gap between young and old is the second highest out of 15 European countries, included in the research. Only Greece has a wider divide. So, I mean, like, if you are under 40, is your aspiration to be a homeowner, or are more of you under 40 choosing sort of maybe not to be anchored to a property? Some people feel it's like that, and maybe long-term rental and more freedom to move is your thing. Like, in other words, is it because you're mad to get a house but you can't? Or maybe there's a change in attitude that home ownership maybe is not seen as quite as important. I'm sure there are surveys out there that would answer that question, but I'm interested in the views of the people of the Northwest, of course. The Irish Independent tells us that cancelled trips, missed appointments and a misspelling of County Laois were among the complaints made to Met Éireann in the first half of the year. One angry viewer said they had seen nothing in the forecast about biblical rain that had fallen across Cork in the spring. Their message said it's still dreadful outside. The forecast was full of snow warnings, but nothing for torrential rain. My important appointment is now lost. I, at least, would have had a chance to change my appointment had this been forewarned. With your expertise in technology, surely the event was obvious. Another wrote about how they had cancelled a trip because freezing temperatures and snow had been forecast by Met Éireann. Woke up this morning to a beautiful day. Well done, they said. One person complained of how difficult it was to make plans due to a succession of forecasts that had proved incorrect. Yet another inaccurate forecast, an email said. Today was promised to be dry all day in County Dublin. On the Met Éireann app, after a sunny morning, there have been thundery downpours since lunchtime, and on it goes. I do wonder, I know they tried their best, but I do have my concerns at times that, like, there's been a number of days over the last few days, and I did mention it prior to the release of those correspondence to Met Éireann, whereby we were told of terrible weather, and the weather wasn't actually really that bad at all. The Irish Daily Mail this morning: the HSE referred a further 21 cases of suspected nursing home sex attacks to Gardaí after a resident was raped by a care worker, and cannot rule out more cases emerging. In a statement, the Health Service said that the additional 21 cases reached the threshold for referral to the Gardaí. HSE CEO Bernard Gloucester said the initial victim, who was given the pseudonym Emily, had suffered a dreadful and heinous attack, and he apologised again to her family. Now, we don't know where this happened as such. It's very worrying. I just think the messaging of that could be dealt a little bit better. The World Cup's underway, by the way. I know it's easy to think that perhaps Australia versus Ireland is the first game, but it's co-host between New Zealand and Norway. New Zealand v Norway already underway, 54 minutes gone, and it is the co-hosts New Zealand that lead Norway by 1-0. The Irish Farmers Journal, key farm succession and land transition or transfer tax release are under the spotlight by the government ahead of the autumn budget. Its tax strategy group has modelled potential changes to agricultural reliefs from capital acquisition tax. The relief currently reduces the market value of agricultural property by 90% for cap purposes, saving farmers $206 million in tax last year. Reducing the relief to between 80% and 50% of a farm's value would cost farmers between $9 million and $64 million. Key tax reliefs for young, trained farmers, farm consolidation, stock relief, farm partnership and accelerated capital allowance are safe until 2024 or 2025. Now on to the Irish Daily Star this morning, and this is a follow-up to that story yesterday. It was that peculiar story of the two people who... I'll read on and it'll make sense, but they've pleaded guilty now. A nephew has pleaded guilty to attempting to deceive after trying to collect his dead uncle's pension at a post office. Declan Hockney and John Sweeney both pleaded guilty on Wednesday to attempted deception in relation to a €246 pension belonging to Padder Doyle, who was subsequently discovered to be dead inside the post office. So now you remember the story. The incident occurred at Hosey's post office on the Staplestown Road in Carlow, January 21st. The trial was to start yesterday, but both men have now pleaded guilty and will be sentenced tomorrow, with the pair facing up to 5 years in prison. Mr. Doyle was discovered dead inside the post office, and Mr. Hockney and Mr. Coakley were subsequently accused of attempting to collect his weekly pension with his body present. I mean, it's a remarkable story at the time that they claimed they didn't know he was deceased, but they took him down and him deceased with a view to collecting his pension. Horrific. But they've pled guilty. The Justice Minister condemned scenes that saw a building vandalised and roads closed off during anti-immigration protests. This is the Irish Daily Mirror. I understand people are concerned. It's just to witness it too. It doesn't feel like us. But anyway, Helen McEntee insisted that Gardaí are on top of what is happening, but that it's very difficult to predict where they may take place. Protesters gathered outside Ridge House in Ballybrack, South Dublin on Tuesday following suggestions that male international protection seekers were to be moved into the building. The Irish Mirror understands that asylum seekers will not be moved into the building, and it's being refurbished by Dunleera Rathdown County Council to house Ukrainian refugees. Several windows to the building were broken. Gardaí closed off roads in the village on Tuesday evening, with locals told to take diversions to get home. As I say, I mean, people are concerned, of course, but unsettling scenes. All right, some might say it's stout of order. Publicans have blasted drinks giant Diageo after confirming they'll raise the price of a pint again this year. The firm's hiking the cost it charges for draft beer by 4 cents from next month. Sources said the increase, due to come in from August 14th, will add about 10 cents to the cost of a jar, since VAT and margins are taken into account. Diageo, whose brands include Guinness, Carlsberg and Smithwick's, previously raised prices in February when it added 12 cents to the cost of a pint. And do they not do Rockshore as well? Rockshore Lager and Cider, I don't know. All right, okay, so we want to know what you're doing for the World Cup today. If you're off, if you're on your holidays or whatever it might be, maybe you're listening out foreign, are you getting together to watch with a group of other people? Is there anything organised in your areas? Are there pictures? Are there buntings? Are there flags? Are they excited? Share it with the rest of us here. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Or from outside the Republic, of course, 00353866025,000. The telephone number 07491 25,000.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year.
Looking for a flexible, affordable home improvement loan for your dream kitchen, bedroom or bathroom? At B&S Credit Union, we are here to help. Renovate loans from €5,000 to €70,000. Visit our website at bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390, where our dedicated and experienced loans team are delighted to help you. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Choosing the perfect stove is a big decision. Here at Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet, we are one of Ireland's leading dealers in stoves and ranges in a variety of styles and sizes at exceptional prices. And with our professional advice, we're sure we'll find the perfect one just for you. So call 074 9131 700 or visit thestovestore.ie.
At Manor Motors Opel, we're half-full type of people, which is how we come up with the Opel 50/50 finance offer. Choose from the Opel Crossland, Corsa or Mokka. Select your flexible payment option, pair it with 3 years free servicing and meet your new other half. Discover more about Opel's 50/50 offer at the Opel Open Road event. See manormotors.ie for details. Finance is provided by way of a consumer hire purchase agreement by Bank of Ireland Finance. Lending criteria and conditions apply over 18s only. Ownership remains with Bank of Ireland until the final payment is made. Bank of Ireland trading as of Bank of Ireland Finance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Need help designing or understanding plumbing requirements for your new bathroom is not a problem. Our experienced staff are equipped to handle any type of bathroom installation, from a simple tap replacement to a complete bathroom overhaul. Call in and see us and view our checklist to make sure you have everything in order. It could save you money and a huge amount of hassle. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Towers Buncrana, making things simpler for you.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Excuse me, 20 minutes past 9, so we're an hour and, 40 minutes away from the historic occasion of Ireland lining out for a World Cup match against the co-hosts Australia. We have in studio with us our head of sport, Oisín Kelly. Hi, Oisín.
Good morning, Greg.
Exciting times, isn't it?
It's very exciting, Greg.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Lee Gooch was playing the Ireland songs this morning, and a nice World Cup feel.
Yeah,
but it's great for women's football. This is huge. Like this is the pinnacle of the game now. If you're into ladies soccer.
And it's on the up, isn't it? It has been on an upward trajectory, and I think particularly after the European Championships in England, it really catapulted it to.
It did, and the way the club football in England's gone as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot more coverage of it. But from an Irish point of view, what Amber Barrett did last year in that playoff against Scotland was more important for football in this country than anything of watching the Euros on TV or what they're doing with this Women's Premier League, or because there was a knock-on effect for that Ireland are going to a World Cup, and it's given a huge injection to the women's sport.
Yeah, and it was the manner in which they qualified. I mean, obviously Amber scored a fantastic goal, but there was a great save in that game as well.
You need the theatrics with it too. It has to be part of it.
It's never going to be easy, is it?
It's never going to be easy, and let's be honest about it, this World Cup's not going to be easy either for Ireland, but it's a fantastic occasion for them to be involved in.
Right, so Australia are one of the best teams in the world. They've got superstars in their ranks. Realistically, where are we then compared to Australia? I mean, we're underdogs going into the game.
We're certainly underdogs going into the game. Like I'm just looking here, Australia would be seen as fifth favourites for the competition. While Ireland, they're not too far down on the actual odds for it, if you want to look at it that way, and how it's seen. But Ireland will be underdogs in this game, there's no doubt. But there's a lot of pressure on the host, Greg. Like they're the host team; they have to perform. Ireland are going into this game with nothing to lose.
What worries me slightly, though, is that we're going in, and maybe we'll spring a surprise, going in with a view to frustrating the opposition and, scoring on the break, which,
There's nothing wrong with frustrating an opposition.
Yeah, but I just find that if you go 1 or 2 down early on, do you have a plan B? But we shall see. I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Yeah, we're trying to be optimistic.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in previous World Cups with the men. Look what the Ireland men did when they went to a competition, a big competition for the very first time. My only concern would be, and we heard Amber on this morning, about the occasion and how special it's going to be for the group of girls here in Iran Naveen for a very first time at a World Cup. Something like that can very quickly go the opposite to getting you fired up for a match, Greg, and that would probably be the only concern I would have.
Yep.
Other than that, they're very, very relaxed. We've seen it in the interviews with the manager, with the likes of Katie McCabe, the captain, and in fact with Amber as well, who spoke to the press. They're a very relaxed group, so it is, and they're giving off all the right signals as they're sort of going into this game.
Okay. So from a Donegal perspective, we have Amber Barrett and Ciara Grant. The team hasn't been announced yet. What are our expectations?
Amber more than likely will be one of the substitutes. for Ireland. I'm just checking to see if they've named the team. They hadn't when I checked it last, Greg, but the starting 11. More than likely, Amber will be amongst the substitutes. Ciara may not feature, which is unfortunate, but she brings a whole lot of value to that group because she's one of the longer members there. Experienced members there. It's been part of the Republic of Ireland setups even when the Republic of Ireland were struggling. She's been there a long time, and you never know, maybe further on down the competition, depending on how it's going, that some of the girls that are involved in the squad that aren't in that match day may get a run out. But so it would be great to see the two of them get a run out at some stage.
For sure. Ireland took on Australia in September 2021, 1-3-2. Now, it was not a competitive game, but a win's a win.
Win's a win. That's going to mean absolutely nothing today. Okay. Let's be honest about it, Greg. It was a different situation. It was a friendly fixture. There was nothing to it. There was like, at the end of the day, Australia again are the host in this, and there's so much pressure on them. They will be looking to perform on their home stage. There's almost 80,000. There's talk of being 82. There's other reports saying it's going to be 75. We'll go in the middle, say 79, 80,000 are going to be at this game, Greg. For women's football, that is huge.
Yep.
Like, you think of Ireland games, like, they're playing in Dublin, they're playing in the Tallaght Stadium. That capacity is nowhere near it.
Right, stay where you are, because Luke Barrett is Amber Barrett's brother. Luke, how are you getting on?
Not too bad, Greg.
You must be incredibly proud, you and the whole family, Luke, of Amber and what she's achieved in getting Ireland to these finals, but also, making history and being such a positive face of the Ireland team in the build-up too.
Yeah, look, obviously we're unbelievably proud of her from, I suppose, the moment that the goal went in, and then the way she carried herself afterwards, but also as you said, in the build-up as well. She's been, she's a very intelligent girl as well, and I think sometimes that can get lost as well. But now listen, she's been brilliant. She's carried herself unbelievably well, and what I like about her as well is she speaks honestly and truthfully in all those interviews. And there's never any airs or graces. She just kind of calls it as she sees it. But look, it's been a roller coaster for her and obviously for everybody involved in the team, and we're just very proud for her to be part of it.
And I think we're all very proud. And I think what we shouldn't forget either is that whole excitement of that goal against Scotland and their celebration and afterwards was all in the context of, and it came across very well in a recent interview she did for a documentary. Like, she had to handle that perfectly, and she did. She just struck the perfect tone of what it all meant in the wider context, but the positives that it could bring as well. I just thought she was astonishing in that. I mean, a diplomat wouldn't have been able to strike the perfect balance, I believe, that she did, Luke.
Yeah, look, I suppose at the time, obviously, there was a lot of devastation around Donegal, and I suppose we'd have proud roots in Creeslough with our grandparents there, and I suppose a particular mum would be... she'd be quite a humble person as well, and it doesn't shock me the way she conducted herself, because we would have spent a lot of time there, and our grandparents would have had a huge impact on us growing up. So it didn't shock me in any way the way she conducted herself, and I know that probably they were looking down her that night as well, and it was a amazing experience, because we were watching the game, and I remember just saying to my partner at the time, if she comes on, she's going to score, and it was nearly written on the stars that night. And then obviously the way she conducted herself afterwards was just. But
yeah, you were saying that watching that, and she whispered that in the manager's ear as well. Put me on, and I'll get it done.
Yeah, that's the kind of I suppose the competitive nature in her as well. So it is, but yeah, it was a surreal experience for that couple of days as well, because it was, the amount of goodwill that people were contacting, me, and obviously she was in Scotland and then straight back to Germany where she plays professionally. So there was no way I was going to pass on all the messages that were coming through, even to me. It was just it was a surreal experience. And then she was obviously then straight away her focus turned very quickly though to making sure that she wasn't just going to be the person to get them there. She wanted to make sure she was going as well, and she was very focused on that for from the time on, from November on, her full focus was trying to get on the plane to the World Cup.
Yep. Now, not only her on the plane, but also your dad and brother in Australia. Any updates from them this morning? Any sense of the atmosphere over there at the Up to High Doe? What's going on?
Yeah, look, it looks amazing. It looks like a lot of Irish people have come out and supporting the team as well, and they're just sending pictures into the family WhatsApp.
Go on, add me. Add me, Luke. I'll give you my number.
It looks like something you'd see on Jones's Road on a big football game, you know.
All right, and where are you going to watch the game?
Yeah, I'm going to watch it up with Mum. Brilliant. Obviously, Mum didn't travel either, but I think it's obviously there's a lot of people would talk about our father and obviously sporting background that we have, but particularly Mum had a huge impact on us, but particularly Amber. Like when Amber was growing up, she would have spent a lot of time taking her to athletics and to football and stuff like that there. So it'll be a proud moment for her as well. So we're looking forward to watching with her. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to it. Listen, Luke, you're proud. We're all proud. It's remarkable the role she has played in getting Ireland there, but the grace in which she had to handle all of that, as I mentioned before, it's something I'll never forget. Luke, thanks very much for your time. Luke Barrett there. And also, too, I think it's very important, Oisín, isn't it, Amber's relationship with the manager, because Amber was being played a little bit out of position for her German club, hadn't scored and all that kind of stuff. But obviously her international, how she's dealt with internationals differently and is different.
She fully trusts her players, the manager.
Yeah.
And she fully trusts Amber and what she can do. And I'm sure that Vera Pauw will have full confidence in Amber and trust that if she needs her, she'll be able to spring her off the bench and try and replicate what she done against Scotland, Greg. So, but as Luke said, it's a very, very proud moment for them. So it is, and for Donegal people who will be watching this morning, Greg. I keep thinking back this morning when we were talking about it, remembering when Packy Bonner was involved in the World Cup and the European Championships, and remembering when Shay Given was going for a first time. They're sort of memories that I had when I was a bit younger.
Yes.
And now this is going to create memories for particularly young aspiring girls who want to become a superstar.
I think the Foyle Cup's on at the moment too. So
the Foyle Cup's on at the minute as well, yeah. Which is, Greg, if you can comprehend this, 588 teams.
Yeah.
From under 8 the whole way up to under 19 are playing football this week in the Northwest. It's a fantastic competition. So it is. It's hosted in Derry, but Donegal and Tyrone are also incorporated because they need the other facilities in the grounds to hold all this. And we'll be speaking to Philip Devlin, who's the secretary, later on in the Score programme tonight as well about it. But that's a fantastic competition. And along the way, some young players who end up in the professional game probably have played in the Foyle Cup somewhere.
Yeah,
and you're going to have somebody at 9 years of age today, probably 10 years of age.
Yeah. But it's a lot of those young girls and boys, but particularly girls, I think, that will have met Amber Barrett at some point, or Ciara Grant, because they're accessible and they understand that they are real role models and have a direct influence on
and they've played football locally.
Exactly.
They've played. Ciara played with Ballyrain, if I'm right in saying, and obviously Amber played with Milford United.
Right, so it's a tough ask today, but listen, shocks happen.
Rule nothing out, it's football, Greg. It's the big stage.
For people that don't know, it's a group setup, so maybe a goal, a win and a draw could be enough to get Ireland.
Draw would be a good enough start.
Yep. So
because you're playing one of the teams that would be seen as the top 6. Yep. The Olympic champions Canada are in that group as well. That's next.
Problem Nigeria,
and then Nigeria then is the other team. But if you can start with the draw, listen, Greg, if you don't lose a match and you get 3 draws, you find yourself in the next stage of the con. Even if you do lose one game and you manage to pick up a couple of points along the way, you probably, if you are going to progress, you probably will need a 1 in some of the games. But it's great.
Right, so one game ongoing, Oisín. What's the latest?
New Zealand. I turned the TV on for you, Greg.
I was kind of trying to make out you were going to do this all off the top of your head.
New Zealand leading Norway by a goal to 0. New Zealand are the co-hosts, okay?
Yeah.
And if you were again to look at the odds, New Zealand would be a bit further on down the pecking order to Norway. Norway would be higher up the rankings. but New Zealand are off to a good start there.
We're going to be going to...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We're hoping Australia's not going to get off to that start at
for sure.
Come 11 o'clock.
We are going to be going to Breed McGinty in Australia. Do you want to hang around for that? We'll take a break.
Go ahead.
You might as well stay there where you are.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. For the biggest names in perfume and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dolce & Gabbana, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Calvin Klein, Jimmy Choo and Burberry, Ariana Grande, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Vera Wang and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Dergfest Music Festival Castlederg proudly presents international DJ Darren Styles live on Saturday, July 29th at the Dergfest Big Top Castlederg with special guests Andy Whitby, Ultrabeat and more. Tickets $27.50. See dergfest.co.uk. Sponsored by McKelvey Construction Castlederg. Strictly over 18s.
The new Volkswagen ID Buzz. Fully electric, fully connected, full of new ideas. An icon of a new era. The all-electric ID Buzz combines comfort, sustainable mobility and fun wherever you take it. Available now with 0% PCP finance from just $259 per month for July 2023 registration only. Book a test drive today with Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny or see connolly's.ie. Terms and conditions apply. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and is subject to lending criteria. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Visit connolly's.ie for further information.
Okay, we are waiting to see, really, I suppose, how the Australian mobile phone network holds up with 80-odd thousand people in and around the one space. Breed McGinty, hopefully going to be joining us very shortly. She and a group of friends from Donegal out in Australia for 5 weeks of the games. I wonder what's going through their heads, Oisin, now, sort of with just, over an hour. They'll be coming out into the pitch probably in about an hour for the warm-ups, if not beforehand.
Well, Greg, there's going to be mixed emotions for them because they're going to see their family and their friends in the crowd and they're going to be doing their warm-up and they're going to be trying to focus on the task at hand, and it's all about how you handle the occasion, because this occasion is going to be bigger than the next two games, Greg, because this is the first one. So it is. This is the history maker. This is the first game. So it's how they manage that situation. And listen, these are professional sports people. So they are the professional sports women. Yeah. A number of the girls play their soccer cross channel, play for bigger clubs. They'll have an influence on the other players. There'll be leaders within the group. Obviously, you're going to have the likes of Katie McCabe as the captain. I would call Amber probably a leader in the group because we've seen her do the media pieces. She talks very honestly. So there's a competitive nature to her. There's a professional nature to her as well. So I would see her as being one of the leaders in the group for sure.
And I was chatting to, when last time Amber was on the show, sort of asking her, how do you strike the balance between enjoying the experience and taking it all in, but not being overawed, but it kind of, I felt silly for asking the question because the answer was effectively, well, that's what we do. We're professionals, we'll go in. Of course,
that's what she does her thing.
Of course, we'll want to sort of get a sense of what's going on. Yeah, but we're there to play football. We're professionals.
Yeah. That's what they are there to do, and it's all about focusing and getting the mindset right for it. Greg, so you get your flag up eventually.
I got the flag up. I'm not sure how it looks, though.
I don't know how long it took you and Kevin Fury to do that, but
I had no hand art to
I'm on the other side of the desk. I can't see. I can't see how it looks on the screen. You think you would have ironed it for starters?
I know, but you know what would have happened if I tried to iron that? Right,
yeah.
We're going to bring Breed McGinty in here now. We'll see what kind of reception we can get. I've got to say it's going to be really noisy there. So let's see if Breed's connected. Oh my God, she looks great. Hello, Breed. It's Greg here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Greg, I can hear you.
All right, okay. So
Just
where...
barely, but I can hear you.
No problem. So where are you, Breed?
Sorry?
Where are you, Breed? So describe... You're outside the ground. Are you making your way to the match?
No, I'm still outside. We're not in the stadium yet. It'll probably be another 10, 15 minutes. They're taking them in stages, so our section hasn't been called into the stadium yet.
What's the excitement like?
Oh, there's a massive crowd. Everybody has big expectations. Australia's on the train out and everything. The buzz about the place is brilliant.
And who all are you with, and why did you decide to go over, Breed?
Sorry, say that again.
Who are you travelling with, and why did you decide to go over, make the effort to go over?
I'm travelling along with Aaron Doherty and Benny Doherty, and the reason why we came over was because it's the first time they qualified, and also you don't know when they would qualify again or what health-wise everybody would be in, so we just thought we'd take the opportunity when it grows.
And Breed, looking around, plenty of Irish support there, is there?
There's a lot of sport. I thought initially, from being in the city in the last couple of days, that the Irish supporters would outweigh the Australians. But when you're in here, there's more Australian yellow jerseys than there is Irish jerseys. So I would say there's a lot. And then there's a lot of Australians not sure who they're supporting. They're half and half jerseys here as well.
All right, those are the ones that are over there working and don't want to upset the friends, maybe. And yeah. Can you give us a look around there of what's going on, what you're seeing, Bree?
Yeah, just 2 seconds.
Oh, got live camera woman. No
see
problem.
If I can. How do?
Don't know. The flash is on. Everything's happening. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow. Okay, what a buzz. Yeah, that looks packed. Plenty of Irish there. Great atmosphere by the looks of things. And the stadium is looking brilliant, Breed.
Sorry, say it again?
I was saying, there looks like to be a great atmosphere there. Plenty of Irish, and the stadium looks brilliant.
Yeah, no, the FIFA have done a marvelous job on the setup. It's really, really exciting outside. Now, I just can't wait to get inside to see what the setup is in there. But the security and everything, it's just making sure all bags are being checked. They were checked coming off the trains, and now they're going to be checked again as you go on. So that's why they're taking us in stages.
And Breed, what's your prediction?
My prediction, hoping for a draw. What that score will be, hopefully, I know Ireland will be defensive, and then hope to hit them in the break. So you just don't know your luck, and hopefully that we do get a bit of luck and get a result. But I'm hoping at least to draw in this game, so that the next game going into Canada, I think the Canadian game will be tougher, and and then it'll go down to either points or goal difference against Nigeria. So that's my expectation for the World Cup.
Lovely. And we don't know the team yet. We're waiting here for the team. Do you think you'll see Donegal represented on the pitch at some point, at least during the match this evening?
Sorry.
Do you think?
The noise is just.
Yeah, are you expecting to see Amber or particularly Amber? We might not see Ciara, but do you think Amber will feature this evening?
Well, I'm hoping Amber gets definitely a good run out. I think she deserves it after she scored a couple of goals throughout the campaign. She's been really, really patient. I think she's an absolutely marvellous impact sub, but I'm hoping that she gets an opportunity to play more than just coming on it as a sub player. But you just don't know. Amber's so committed and dedicated that I think she deserves. And what she's done for the Irish team in the last couple of months has been marvellous. If you look, who's the ambassador for women's football? Amber's at the forefront of it at the minute. She's getting all the interviews. She's in the TV programme. She's promoting it as much as she can. So I think that she needs to be given a chance now on the pitch as well.
All right, Breed, one last wee scan. Show us again just what you're looking at before we say goodbye to you, Breed.
Sorry, say that again.
Give us another wee look around what's happening before we say goodbye to you. Our own camera woman. Look at that. Wow, what a buzz. Breed, be safe. We'll chat to you soon. Okay, thank you very much indeed, Breed McGinty there. You really get a sense of the excitement. It looks fantastic. You know that when you're standing outside the stadium, Osh, you can see it for those of people watching. Yeah. Hi to my daughter living in Sydney. That's Bernie Craig. Thanks, Bernie, for watching. And if any of you are out foreign, out abroad, you're watching the game, let us know where you are and what's going on. Go ahead, Osh.
Greg, just a reminder, listeners, there's not 2 Donegal ladies that are out. There's actually 4.
Yes, of course. Yeah, involved in the whole
Denise
setup,
McElhinney from Letterkenny here. She's the operations manager with the FAA. And Niamh McDade, who's from Inishowen, is the stats analyst as well. So Donegal have 4 representatives at the World Cup under the Ireland banner.
Right, okay. You might rejoin us when we get the team, Osh. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right, thanks very much indeed. Thanks to Breed too, who's out in Sydney just waiting to get into the stadium. I think whatever hope we had of hearing her outside it, there'd have been no hope inside. But you know, you never know. All right, Oisín Kelly will be back with the team as soon as it's announced.
It's the 50% off mega summer sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Up to 50% off all tiles, wood flooring, outdoor porcelain tiles, cladding and bathware. Everything in store has been slashed in price. The Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring 50% off mega summer sale. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
The world awaits you. Make that dream your next adventure. Cruise the Caribbean. Sail from Crete to Corsica. Soak in Santorini sunsets. Dine on the shores of the Indian Ocean. Stroll through cobbled streets for hidden gems, or bring the little ones to a magical wonderland. Trust the award-winning Atlantic Travel to guide your next adventure. Step through our doorway to the world. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day from 12 till 5:30 p.m. Fantastic for family day trips. Excellent value for birthday party packages. For a wonderful family experience, check out leisurelandredcastle.ie.
Tax breaks for farmers in the spotlight. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Find out how changes could impact farm transfers, inheritance and capital gains tax rates for farmers. Suckler farmers hit back at Teagasc's prediction of herd collapse. New €150 per calf scheme proposed. What happens next for rewetting and the nature restoration law? Plus in Irish country living, how to save money by registering family members as farm employees.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Right, An Garda Síochána investigating all the circumstances of the discovery of a number of packages along the North Donegal coast. The packages are suspected of containing a substance which is believed to be cocaine, subject to analysis. Around 8:30 a.m. yesterday morning, Milford Gardaí were alerted to the discovery of a package at Ballyhirnan Beach, Fanad. Half hour later, Gardaí were alerted by the public to another similar package at Tramore Beach in Dunfanaghy. Gardaí recovered both packages, the contents of which are now subject to analysis, and the scene obviously technically examined. Okay, former Garda sergeant who worked with the drugs squad, Christy Galligan, joins us. Christy, thanks for taking the call this morning.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you for having me.
Right, this is a really unusual occurrence in this part of the world, isn't it?
Well, it is quite unusual. We don't have it, but it's not unusual to see large amounts of drugs coming in on our coastline. Especially, we were more in 2007 when there was 440 million seized off Mizen Head, where a boat had kind of lost its anchorage, and a number of people were arrested and charged and imprisoned over that. That was one of the biggest seizures ever, and that drugs came in from places like Colombia or Bolivia. So it originated from South America and was being transported, we believe, into the British Isles, but it got into difficulty off Mizen Head. So it's not unusual. And we have a huge coastline, even here in Donegal. You know, you have 1,100 kilometres of a coastline here in Donegal, so we're wide open to that form of, but we don't know where those drugs came from, whether they drifted maybe drugs that were dropped off at a certain vantage point or a location and then drifted or broke up, the bales broke up and drifted off over the sea and just happened to wash into Donegal. But it's something we have to be very concerned about and alerted.
Like, we've nothing really at this point to indicate that these were drugs destined for the Irish market. I mean, they may well be, but also they may well not be.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know from Operation Lionfish, which was coordinated through Interpol last year, there was 1,300 arrests and a large number of seizures between drugs that came in from areas like Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, through Afghanistan, through the Balkan routes and the northern routes. So there has been we would see more of that routes, drugs coming in through those routes than through the sea routes that we have had. No, we've had the recent seizures there in Rosslare, where over 11 million euros worth of cocaine was seized by customs. And 2 people were arrested, came in a horse box. So there's an ongoing issue with relation to ferries and people transporting through ferries and containers coming into the country anyway, Greg.
It's going to be a difficult one to investigate as well, because presumably, these would be packed in a sterile environment, gloves used, they wouldn't use any bags or wrapping that would be easily identifiable. It would all be identifiable. It would all be generic stuff. It'd be very difficult to expect the Gardaí, I'd imagine, to find out any further information on this.
There's very little, as I say, trace evidence for the Gardaí to follow up. But the Interpol themselves have this analytical data where they can follow certain types of drugs that are stamped. Most drugs now, like the MDMA and amphetamines, are stamped with certain logos. So they have intelligence to suggest where those drugs come from. It's the same with a lot of the cocaine. There's some of those that are wrapped, and they're fairly well wrapped as well, come in containers, have stamps or logos on them, and they're able to trace it back to the routes that these drugs have taken through international and transatlantic shipments worldwide.
Right. So, this talks to the wider problem too. Every week there's more statistics coming out talking about how we have extremely high cocaine usage levels. We've covered it extensively here in Donegal, spoken to people who work in the area of counselling and addiction support. Quotes like, it's as easy to get cocaine in Donegal as it is pizza. It's not an urban problem anymore. Yeah. It's all over the place. And this just highlights how much of it's readily available.
Yeah, and we have a national drug strategy, but I don't know whether it's working or not. I know the preventative measures that are in place. We have also, where we try to talk to, where I'm sure that a lot of counsellors will talk to parents and try to give them information as to how to talk to their children who are involved in it as well. Because one of the biggest problems, and I'm here in Dublin at the present moment, and I hear from a lot of people that their parents have children now are involved as young as 12 and 13, even younger again, in the supply and sale of drugs like heroin and cocaine here in the city. And it's a major, major problem. And kids get involved in this at a very early stage. So when your kid comes home with a €200 pair of Nike shoes or a large puff jacket worth €1,000, you have to ask the questions: where did they get them? And it's we really have to sit down and be more informative with children in relation to the dangers inherent in being involved in drugs and drug trafficking.
Yeah, and that's probably the distribution and the dealing level. But in terms of the consumption level, things have changed drastically, I would imagine, since when you were in the Gardaí and involved in the drug squad. As I say, this drug is available everywhere now and others. What do you think is happening? Why are we seeing cocaine now in every corner of every town and village in the county and country?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it has weaned its way in through all facets of society, even in public service. And we know from even within the Garda Síochána itself, sadly, that there are a number of cases that were before the courts from people who were involved in the sale and supply or involved in drugs as well. And it's gone into every facet of public and private service. The real problem is it's the gateway drug. It seems to be easily obtained. It gives you that quick fix, apart from drinking a few pints maybe at the weekend, where most people will enjoy. People want to have cocaine in their pockets or wherever they're going to get it. And this quick fix keeps them going through a night. But the problem with that is that fixation becomes an addiction, and that addiction causes major problems down the road for you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning. I do appreciate it. That is Christy Galligan there, former Garda Sergeant who worked with the drug squads as well. He concludes that there's nothing to suggest at this point, and it'll be hard to prove one way or other, that these drugs were destined for the Irish market or to be landed in Ireland, possibly dumped from one big boat to be picked up by a smaller one. They could have been drifting for a great deal of time. Could be from South America. You don't know. The sea can cause these packages to travel great distances. Again, if you have any insight, maybe you were one of the persons that spotted these or saw them previously but didn't pay much heed to it, let us know. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. They're into injury time now, halfway through 9 minutes of injury time in the opening game of the Women's World Cup. New Zealand lead Norway by 1-0. New Zealand had a penalty miss there not so long ago. Hi, Greg. I wonder if it's possible to address the issue of speed in shopping car parks. Over the last few weeks, I've had my small grandchildren with me, and I've lost count of the number of near misses we have witnessed. Kids jump out of cars and make a run for the shop doors. Drivers are distracted on phones or talking to others in the car. I appreciate some shopping areas have ramps, but I think there needs to be an active campaign to get more shopping areas to introduce similar, if not more, measures. Is that something that you've found in and around the shopping centres around the region? People, drivers driving too quick, not paying attention? 086 60 25,000. I have come across it myself, for sure. There's no doubt about that. And it only takes one mistake and someone is very seriously injured or indeed worse. Why are prices not reducing in shops who are switching to self-service checkouts and robotic servers? They're not paying the same level of staff, so why are they still charging high prices? I'm not really sure they're cost-saving measures because they probably employ the same amount of staff. I'm not sure of the ins and outs of it. Hi, Greg. I hope you're keeping well. I just wanted to draw your attention to something, and I know it's been discussed in the past, but seems to be still a problem. I rang looking for an appointment with my GP. Nothing urgent. I need a review of medication and results of a scan. Usually you might need to wait a week or so, which is fine. I was told today that the first appointment would be the 11th of August. So I said, okay, well, I'll just see a way of the other docs in the practice then. I'll see one of them. But apparently the 11th of August is the first available doctor's appointment, and if I wanted to see my own GP, it would be August 15th. Needless to say, I was completely shocked at this, so much so that I just said okay and hung up. Now, I know people say, well, with all the extra people living here, appointments are hard to get. However, I have been to the doctors probably about 5 times so far this year, and no matter when you go in there, might, if you're lucky, be one other person in the waiting room. Pre-COVID, there would have been at least 10. I'm absolutely shocked and disgusted at the lack of service being offered, and unless it is an emergency, you now have to wait a considerable time for an appointment. Now, that came in originally on the... That's been sitting around for quite some time. That's a couple of weeks old, actually. So their appointment, sorry about that. Their appointment was over, the first appointment they were given was over a month away. My bad. We must have overseen that or overlooked it. So hopefully you got seen. Maybe you can give us an update. I'm not going to read your name, of course, because you wanted, as understandably, you wanted that kept private. But did you get sorted? Because, as I say, this email's 2 weeks old, so it was a month out that they were told the next available appointment might be. Right, okay. It is the 9 till noon show coming up after 10. Much more to keep you informed and entertained. Stay right where you are. News and obituaries just around the corner.
Hello there, Farmer Tinney here. It's summer, and Tinney's Toys have loads of swings, slides, trampolines, goalposts, and many more outdoor toys and games. We've basketball stands, swing ball, sandpit diggers, kids' wheelbarrows, and when the sun finally gets out, we've loads of paddling pools. Of course, we still have what we're famous for, the largest range of ride-on and small farm toys and models in Ireland. Shop 24/7 tinnystoys.com or call into Leck Road, Letterkenny. Down by.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Tá mudna in ESB Networks a gobar lena chintu go bhfuil síl glán letrach in ándún go léir in éidean. Agus mar chud san chlór náisiúnta an méadrú cliste, tá méadid cliste letrachis á sitsálinis agan de cheantar. A bhuichas is beag billa measta a dheofatú. Cáir se leat súla chuineal ar an méid letrachis a úsáidin tú bhealach níos fearr, agus ba fáil agad ar thorgaí agus seirbhísí cliste. Déanam it sangó leat rih hitsal de bhéidir. Tá tilla ólis le fáil ag ESBnetworks.ie/smart meter.
If you'd like to make a difference in children's early learning and care, why not join the team at Wonder Years? With an attractive pay scale, you'll enjoy a 4-day working week, have access to a pension scheme and a scholarship programme to upskill to degree level. Help give young children the best opportunity to become lifelong learners with a range of skill sets by joining the team at Wonder Years in Rossbracken, Manacunningham, and now also at Castle Shanahan, Letterkenny. Email your CV today to info@wonderyearselc.ie.
Live, on air, online, and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Cathaoirleach of the Glenties Municipal District says it's clear more Garda resources are needed in Donegal after 2 packages containing suspected cocaine washed up on 2 beaches in the county yesterday. One package was spotted on Ballyharn Beach in Fanad, with another later reported at Tramore Beach in Dunfanaghy. Gardaí are appealing to people along the North Donegal coastline to keep an eye out for suspicious material over the coming days. Councillor Michael McClafferty says yesterday's discovery is more evidence of the need for the county's coastline to be patrolled.
We seem to, more than ever, really have a potential drugs problem here in Donegal, and the drugs problem is not going to be sorted or solved unless there's resources there in place to deal with it. So we need to get a hell of a lot more resources in Donegal. We need to get more resources, particularly now, more than ever, to even patrol the beaches, possibly a yard of patrolling our waters like they do in other countries.
Well, former Donegal Garda Sergeant Christy Galligan, who worked with the drug squad, says it is difficult to determine if the drugs were destined for Donegal.
We have a huge coastline, even here in Donegal. You know, you have 1,100 kilometres of a coastline here in Donegal, so we're wide open to that form of, but we don't know where those drugs came from, whether they drifted, maybe drugs that were dropped off at a certain vantage point or a location and then drifted or broke up, the bales broke up and drifted off over the sea and just happened to wash into Donegal. But it's something we have to be very concerned about.
Younger people and higher earners are worse off in Ireland than in the rest of Europe when it comes to housing costs. Research from the ESRI shows middle and high income earners in Ireland face more extreme rent pressures. The report also shows that the under 40s are being squeezed out of home ownership. Author of the report, Dr. Rachel Slaymaker, says this has consequences for younger households.
Particularly in the years running up to the pandemic, so between 2015 and 2019, the number of young adults, so those aged between 25 and 34, Ireland saw the largest increase in the number of those young adults remaining in the family home as well. So these indicators are certainly suggestive of the significant pressures faced by younger households in particular.
2 men have been charged in connection with several burglaries and car thefts across the country, including in the northwest. It's after Gardaí made 3 arrests earlier this week. Both men, one in his teens and the other in his 20s, will appear before the Criminal Courts of Justice this morning. A third man in his 30s was released without charge, and a file will now be prepared for the DPP. Donegal County Council is being urged to provide for the increased number of electric vehicles on the roads by installing more charging points in the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. A council spokesperson said additional EV charging points are not provided for in the draft local transport plan, but says there may be provisions under the Climate Action Plan. Councillor Donald Coyle is asking the council to follow the lead of other local authorities across the country.
The first national electric vehicle charging infrastructure strategy was published there in January. The Minister for Transport said that local authorities will play a vital role in the rollout of these. There's a pilot scheme in Finglas where there are electric vehicle charging hubs done by Dublin County Council. It seems to be going very successfully, and that's the kind of thing that we need in this county.
And there's less than an hour to go before Ireland's women's soccer team make history at the World Cup in Australia. They take on the host nation at 11 a.m. in Sydney, the first time the senior team has qualified for the tournament. Thousands of Irish fans have descended on the city, joining with the many Irish people who live there. Two Donegal players, Amber Barrett and Ciara Grant, are part of the squad. Amber's brother Luke told the 9 till noon show that it is a very proud moment for the family.
From, I suppose, the moment that the goal went in and then the way she carried herself afterwards, she's been brilliant. She's carried herself unbelievably well, and she speaks honestly and truthfully in all those interviews. Look, it's been a roller coaster for her and obviously for everybody involved in the team, and we're just very proud for her to be part of it.
Weather now today will bring sunny spells and scattered showers, though mostly drying up for the afternoon and evening. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, July the 20th. The death has taken place of Patrick Pat McDade Shan Templemoyle Culdaff. Remains reposing at his home. Family time please from 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. Pat's Requiem Mass will take place on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Clay Malin, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Motor Neuron Ireland or the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Noreen McShane, Brina, Letterkenny and formerly of Mina Totten Dunlow. Remains reposing at her late residence until 11 o'clock tonight. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Columbus Church, Glenswilly, with burial afterwards in the family plot in Kilfeek Cemetery. Family time before the funeral tomorrow morning please. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the parish website. The death has taken place of Francis Graham, Summerhill, Donegal Town, County Donegal. Funeral service in Killymard Parish Church at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, followed by burial in Lahey Parish Graveyard. House private to family and close friends only please. Family flowers only please. The death has taken place of Lena McBride, née Finlay, 4 Mount Carmel View, Strabane and formerly of Clady, reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home this morning at 11:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers please to the Foyle Hospice, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has occurred of Danny Sharkey, Ella Begg Burnfoot, retired principal of St Angus's National School, Bridgend, and former presenter on Highland Radio. Reposing at Murphy's Funeral Home today from 4 o'clock until 10 o'clock and tomorrow afternoon from 3 o'clock, with removal at 6 o'clock to St Angus's Church, Burt, to repose overnight. Requiem Mass on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Burt Cemetery. Danny's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of desire to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Joe Brolly, Philly McMahon and John Milan don't just live and breathe GAA. It's in their genetic makeup, coursing through every fibre of their being. It defines them to their very core. GAA is in their DNA, And it's in ours at Independent Sport. Read our experts' cutting-edge analysis of all things GAA in the Irish Independent and Sunday Independent, or online at independent.ie. Irish Independent. Up close and independent.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
All right, we're still looking for you to text in. Tell us where you're watching the game. What do you think will happen? What do you think the score might be? Any interesting events ongoing wherever you are listening or watching with us this morning? 08660 25,000. Hi, Elaine, Bernie, Kathleen, Noreen, Siobhan and Anne amongst those watching the show. It's available for you to stream on your phone, tablet, laptop, your smart TV or Fire Stick with the YouTube app, Highland Radio Ireland, or on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport. And we're looking also too to answer your questions, your gardening questions. Paul's in with us a little later on. We're also going to be previewing the Mary from Dunlow Festival, that and so much more besides. A caller says, I called my doctor yesterday and I'm paying. I couldn't be seen for 3 weeks. I called the private centre which recently opened and was seen 2 hours later. It appears this is the way seeing your GP is going. Unless you're dying, you're not seen, even if they are to send you to the ED. Now, as I say again, sorry to clarify, it does vary from practice to practice, it seems. Can anyone explain to me why this country is in an outrage for weeks over what are a few pounds with Ryan Tubridy's wages in comparison to the billions the Children's Hospital is costing? I don't see the Minister for Health being pulled before any committees to justify this. What's wrong with this country? How can a project go so overspend with no end date or amount of money in sight? Well, you see, the problem is that, firstly, to some extent, it's going to be media driven, but also it's the public as well, because there have been numerous committee meetings on the issue of health, on the issue of the Children's Hospital. Like, these committee meetings are available all day, every day. There's pretty much one on in the morning, one in the afternoon, every day the Dáil sitting. But the public only tuned in tens of thousands to watch the one relating to RTE, the ones relating to RTE. And your average one probably be lucky if they had 20 viewers. So at the end of the day, is it the media pushing certain stories, or is it an understanding of what people are interested in? I just find sometimes issues like the Children's Hospital are so overwhelming that people just go, you know what, what else would you expect? Whereas the RT stories, it's controversial, it's a bit sexy, it's a bit celebby, do you know what I mean? And people are more interested in that. So I think that might be a little bit of what it's down to. I think there's part of it's the media, but I think also a big part of it's what the public seem to be interested in. And, in an organisation like this, we don't tailor our output for these reasons, but you can see what stories interest people on our website. Whether it is a particular politician talking in the Dáil, or whether it is a story about, RTE or something else happening locally that people tend to talk about in their kitchens at home, and you can see what has interest and what doesn't have interest. A caller says, the guards can't find out who stole my bike. How the hell will they know where these drugs came from? Well, I presume there are drugs made in certain ways that will be familiar. They're regularly tested, so they probably should have some idea where they come from in terms of catching someone. All off to Fanna then, just south of to do our civic duty. Yes, well, if you find anything, report it. A couple of requests here. Good morning to my sister Anne Sheridan in Sydney, tuned into Highland for the women's game and loving the buzz in Australia, coming in from Mary. How are you getting on? Anne, is that... which Anne is it? We have a few Annes watching. I'm not sure, Anne, if you're watching, say hello to us if you're in Sydney. Ella O'Flaherty's in Buncrana. A very happy birthday, Ella, from Amelia and all her friends. Hope you have a lovely day, Ella, in beautiful Buncrana. All right, we have the bingo numbers for you now. Then we'll be back with our next item on the show.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, July 20th, Jackpot Day. Today's jackpot is €19,000. Today's jackpot number is 11. You're playing on a pink coloured sheet. The reference number is S4. It's game number 29. The numbers are 38, 66, 69, 43, 21, 87, 72, 64, 32 and 26. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 p.m. tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book. Get all your NCBI Radio Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Cupra for mentor. 2 words causing quite a stir. Because this car stops you in your tracks, even when it's standing still. But that's what it was designed to do. Make a stunning first impression. And what's more, with the offers now available in July, there are 0 reasons not to choose the Cupra for mentor. Visit Connolly's Cupra, Sligo. See our incredible offers at cupraofficial.ie.
Michael Henney's summer sale has just gotten bigger and better. Don't miss out on amazing offers with up to 50% now off fashion, kids, home, jewellery and cosmetics. Shop our summer sale in-store at Michael Henney's department store Ballybuffet or online at michaelhenneys.com.
Are you tired of working from home with constant distractions? Don't let the summer chaos hinder your productivity. Join G-Tech Digital Hub today. Say goodbye to the house full of people and hello to working on your own terms. G-Tech Digital Hub, Termon and Carrigart. Call 074 91 54 291 to secure your spot.
Okay, our next guest, Dr. Kenny Doyle, joins us now. Kenny, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you.
It's our pleasure. You too. Dr. Doyle, is author of research into fatherhood, caring and gender equality in housework, which has been conducted by the Men's Development Network and Trior. What was the purpose of this research?
Well, the research is actually part of a much larger global research project. And this global project is run by a Washington-based think tank called Equimundo. And globally, this research has been ongoing since 2015. They run a survey every 2 years, and they end up with regional, national, and global reports. So the aim of the research in general is to examine attitudes around care, attitudes around the division of household work by gender, and to look at how these are influenced by broader social and economic structures such as gender norms, work and practices and things like that. For this iteration of the study, we had just over 12,500 people answered it in 17 countries. In Ireland, we had just over 500 people, and this is the first time that Irish data has been included in this survey.
What kind of questions were asked, Doctor?
The questions ranged from how much time a week you spend doing particular tasks, but then there were also a range of other questions around attitudes. So things like, for example, testing gendered attitudes around the typical roles of men and women. So questions like they'd be asked to reply to a statement, a man should have the final say in all matters in the house, and do you agree with this, disagree with this, and so on.
Well, come on, give us the answer. What was the findings there?
Well, for that one, there was only roughly about a third of men agreed with that. Surprisingly, women strongly disagreed with that, and women were more than twice as likely to strongly disagree with that. I suppose the headline bits of the Irish research are basically around men's attitudes to caring, that it's generally seen as something like 84% of men said it was the most enjoyable thing that they do in their life. And over 2/3 of men said they would consider working part-time to care for their child. And a similar number said that caring for children is worth giving up career opportunities for. So I would see this as being a fairly large jump forward. Like if we think that within a generation or two, we've moved from men being the sole breadwinners and women being completely tasked with everything on the home front, to now we have the case where men are expressly expressing that they would like to spend more time at home, that they would like to, if possible, give up career opportunities to look after their children.
Yeah, and I suppose a lot of us have to conform to what society has set up for each gender in particular. You know what I mean? We are in some way, our choices are limited. It's only recently really where we started making inroads in terms of paternity leave and things like that, and the way the world operates and how caring can impact your income or career opportunities. You know, I mean, the world is set up almost to keep us in the lanes that we're in, and this survey shows that, maybe we want to do things differently.
Yeah, there has been some welcome developments around parents' leave and paternity leave, but there's still massive patches. And I'd agree 100% with what you just said. If we look at parents' leave or paternity leave, they're both generally paid at around, I think it's 260 something euro per week. And the Irish Government Evaluation Service estimate that the average take-home pay of a person is 642 euro per week. So for many people, that would mean that you're taking a 2/3 cut in your pay for any parental leave that you take. Now, there are some employers that will top this up, but there's no legal requirement for them to do so. And it's very patchy. Like if you work in an SME, it's far less likely that they will have the means to be able to top up this payment in comparison to, say, if you're working for a transnational tech company or something like that. So it is very patchy. Some places have great paternity leave, some don't. And it's kind of at the minute the luck of the draw, unfortunately.
Yeah, so of the Irish men surveyed, 82% stated that they share caring responsibilities equally. So that's not a desire, that's the way their lives are. 86% stating that they feel as responsible for care as their partners. I mean, that's a huge... I think this is the first time we've fed into this overall research, but I mean, if you go back a generation, I don't know if we have the statistics, but there has to be a big change there in attitudes.
Yeah, there is. It's not really socially acceptable anymore for men to do what people of maybe a generation or two ago would have done, that I go out and earn money, and so when I come in the door I put my feet up, and I'm not saying that men did that in the past, but it was more acceptable. That isn't the case. Men are now active parents and they're expected to be active parents, and the argument I would make is that it's socially beneficial and personally beneficial for men to be active parents.
Look, I'm sure there's men listening who were, their babies 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that probably felt excluded from the process to some extent as well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sure there's always been men who would want to be more hands-on or to have more of a role. But as I say, it wasn't the norm then. I mean, we always presumed that maybe a man or a woman was not happy with a role 20, 25 years ago, regressed to that point. But, it would have been even more difficult maybe to be seen. Like, I wonder 25 years ago if a guy was walking down the street with a pram, it probably would have even turned heads.
It's funny you mentioned that exact example, because I used to teach social policy in Waterford Institute of Technology, and there was a large intake of men who would have been in their late 50s and 60s who would have entered the college via kind of redundancy programs in various factories down there. And what you just said is exactly what they would have said to me over and over again, that when they were my age, it was unheard of for a man to be seen pushing a buggy, and it would be seen as almost like unmanly or unmasculine. Yeah. And there is research that backs that view up, and more recent research than you'd imagine. There was research done by Hanlon in the last 10 years or so, where it was looking at kind of what facets and features are deemed by his sample of Irish men to be masculine and which aren't. And one of the big ones that was seen as being not manly was a caring attitude or looking after children and things like that. So that is changing, and it has changed massively. And that's a change for the good. Like, people usually refer to care, particularly care of children, as being a burden or a responsibility, but it's as much a benefit to people. It's a benefit for the men who carry out this care because it's enjoyable, it's enriching in their lives. It's also a benefit to their children, and there's a raft of literature which shows that these kind of closer relationships between fathers and their children at a young age are beneficial to them in the long run in the relationships as they grow older, and it's beneficial for the family relationship with the partner as well.
Yep, and I won't keep you much longer, Kenny, but obviously it's understandable that we're going to speak very much in an Irish context, and as how Irish it is in this country and how things are progressing in inverted commas. And I'm not sure if this was caught in a sample of the other 16 countries, but in other areas of the world, there's a pushback to the type of conversations we're having, that women's rights are being removed from them, or their life is becoming more difficult. It's not just women, of course, but just in the context of this survey we're talking about. So I suppose I shouldn't be asking all these questions in this bubble as if this is the only country in the world. Like, it's very different right across the world. I wonder if you had a chance to sort of see how that's reflected in this survey overall.
Well, the overall survey across the 17 countries, I think India was the only one where there wasn't kind of a noticeable move in the direction that we've spotted in the Irish study. So aside from that, it is moving in the same direction, broadly speaking, but it's still probably not moving quickly enough. Ireland, in most of these things, fits somewhere right in the middle. It's not the most progressive or regressive, but we're moving in the right direction. And I think in particular, figures around things like there's a question asked, boys should not be taught to sew, cook, clean or take care of their siblings. And about 30% of men agreed with that, which means that the vast majority didn't agree with that. And that would show that the next generation are being taught the majority of the next generation are being taught.
And just finally, in terms of who's likely to take part in a survey like this, Kenny, I mean, if you go on the internet, certain platforms and certain types of messaging service and what have you, there still is, clear misogyny, clear almost anger against women. I don't know, are those people going to take part in these sort of mainstream surveys? And if they did, it would probably probably change them a little bit. So how do we make sure we're not just speaking to, woke guys? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's a very fair question. With this survey, what we did is we hired a data company. They were called Rep Data from the US, and I think they've hired an Irish polling company to do it. Now, when I was looking through the data sets, when you see a particular trend or a particular percentage of your sample are this type of person, I could always check these against larger data sets. So, for example, there was roughly about 1.4% of our sample were non-binary in gender terms, which is roughly about what that would be internationally. If we looked at things like the people who hit the markers that said they would be living in consistent poverty, that was around about the same as it would be according to the survey and income standards and living. So the data that we gathered for this is very reliable, and I was able to test it in a few ways against much larger data sets in that way. So.
All right, okay, very interesting. Is it broadly available yet? Has it been released? Can people access it?
Yeah, the Irish survey, which I have here in my hand, is available on either the TRIOR website or the Men's Development Network. That's mensnetwork.ie. And the international one, if you just Google State of the World's Fathers, you'll be able to get the international survey.
All right, thanks for that. Interesting. Dr. Kenny Doyle, author of Research into Fatherhood, Caring and Gender Equality in Housework, which has been conducted by the Men's Development Network and TRIOR there, as we mentioned. 34 minutes away from kickoff, Ireland's opening game in the World Cup against Australia. Exciting scenes over there. We'll keep you updated, by the way. If you want to stay with us, we'll keep you updated of any scores or any major events in the game as we go on. Greg, I was so annoyed when this week there was a mention about hairdressers not being able to make money. On different occasions, I went to various hairdressers and was charged between 25 and 30 euro for a dry cut. This is a disgrace. So I can't understand why they're complaining about this. Well, maybe a hairdresser wants to come on and talk about this. But I mean, obviously, they have staff wages to pay. They have water rates to pay. They have electricity charges to pay, which are really quite high at the moment. They have rent to pay. They have commercial rates to pay. So with all of that in mind, I'm not sure if 25 to 30 is good or bad for a dry cut, as anyone who knows what I look like would know. I haven't a clue. It seems quite high. I don't know. Is that for women's hair, men's hair? But anyway, as I say, there are a lot of overheads, no pun intended, in that business. So as I say, if someone in the industry wants to give us an insight, and also they're competing, I presume, to a great extent now, particularly post-COVID, with a lot of people that don't face many of those overheads, but are able to do it from a garage or something close to home. All right, have we got some team news? Oisín Kelly, our sports editor, is going to hop back in and tell us what the story is. We're about, as I say, 33 minutes to kick off, and the Irish team, Oisín Kelly, has now been announced.
It has been announced, Greg, and the Irish have received a bit of a boost. If you're into women's football, Sam Kerr's a big name in Australia, and she has been ruled out of the game for the hosts against the Republic of Ireland.
She's a superstar of women's football.
Yeah, she is, and she's one of the big guns for Australia. There's no doubt about it. So Ireland have been handed a boost there. That she's not playing, but it's still going to be a tough task. No big surprises in the Irish starting team. The 11 as was predicted and thought to be: Courtney Brosnan's going to be in goals, Heather Payne, Niamh Fahey, Louise Quinn, Megan Connolly, Katie McCabe, Rashisha Littlejohn, Denise O'Sullivan as fitness starts, Sinead Farley, Marissa Shiva and Kyra Caruso are all in that starting 11 for Ireland. Amber Barrett and Ciara Grant are both named among the Ireland subs.
All right, so we actually could see one or both of them at some point during the game.
It would be great, fantastic to see both of them play, but Amber will probably be sprung from the bench at some stage in the game. It depends how it goes. You just hope you go into the game, you don't concede early, because the hosts will be up for it.
Well, that was my fear about the frustrating...
Because Ireland probably will go very much with the defensive tactic.
Yeah.
So they will. But if you concede early and you're playing that sort of way, then when you have to come back at that, it opens it up. And you're going to have that home crowd, which Breed mentioned earlier as well. There's a massive Australian crowd there.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Stadiums.
So 31 minutes to go. Two Donegal girls, Ciara and Amber, named on the bench, Josh.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much for that. Oisín Kelly is going to be on hand to come in and out as we need him. We're going to keep you updated with that game as this morning wears on, so you won't miss a thing if you stick with us here in the 9 till noon show. Boys, says this listener, I live in a house. My money is our money and her money is all hers. Beat that. Okay. What's mine is mine. What's mine? What is it? What's yours is mine, and what's mine's my own. Greg, they have now finished the main road at Newtown Cunningham. When is the main street in Newtown Cunningham going to be done? Absolute disgrace. Only suitable for 4-wheel drive vehicles at the minute. That comes in from Mary. Well, Mary, look, we can make an inquiry in relation to that. I've moved recently to live in Donegal. I tried to register with the medical practice in this area. They're telling me the book is closed for new patients, that they can't take me on. I've ongoing medical issues. I should be able to see a doctor at any time. The receptionist in that medical centre has told me to go to the doctors in Letterkenny, Raphoe or somewhere else. What is the healthcare system coming to? They mentioned the area. We're just going to double check with the GP practice as well, just to be fair, because it's a business that's easily identifiable. But we spoke to a couple that moved to Inishowen. I wondered, did they ever get sorted? And both of them had medical conditions that would require reasonably, frequent visits to the GP, and they couldn't get into one on the whole peninsula, I seem to remember. G'day, Greg. I hope Ireland take inspiration from New Zealand after their 6th World Cup and 16th attempt to win a match via the might of Norway. They finally win one. I didn't know they were going in as underdogs, if I'm honest, Kevin. I was going to say be careful of Samantha, as she'll have a few tricks up her sleeve, but not now as she's out with a calf injury. Certainly gives pause for thought. Oh, would you stop it? We believe in Barrett. Hashtag kick-ass Katie. Hashtag Vera's Army. That comes in from our friend Kevin in Dunlow. A caller says the only people to blame for the backlogs in ED and GPs is the government. They brought in so many people to a system which was already in crisis. Now, yesterday they announced 200 houses were being given to citizens, which only arrived in the country. The majority of people that have moved to Donegal are young people. I'm not sure how much they're blocking up the ED and the GP. I've known people that were in the ED recently. It wasn't full of people that aren't from here. So, I mean, listen, you could be right. I don't know. The GPs are under pressure. There's just no doubt about that. And there is an obligation, I think, in some cases for a GP to take someone on where, although in a different situation, there may not be. But as I say, I've been doing this show now consistently for 6 years, and it's all the same problems. Maybe they have got worse for the reasons that you outlined, but we need more services.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Hope is something we give to each other. Thanks to your donations, Pieta's 24-hour crisis helpline is able to receive over 100,000 calls and texts a year. Your support means that all of Pieta's vital services are free and available nationwide, which means that free suicide prevention therapy, delivered by qualified therapists, is always just a phone call away. To make a life-saving gift today, go to pieta.ie. Pieta, ending suicide, beginning hope.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Tax breaks for farmers in the spotlight. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Find out how changes could impact farm transfers, inheritance and capital gains tax rates for farmers. Suckler farmers hit back at Teagasc's prediction of herd collapse. New €150 per calf scheme proposed. What happens next for rewetting in the nature restoration law? Plus in Irish country living, how to save money by registering family members as farm employees.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Do you want the very best for your pet? At Gary's Pet World Letterkenny, we offer fantastic value on all your pet foods, accessories, grooming and pet care products. We cater for cats, dogs, rabbits, birds and fish, and open 7 days per week at Letterkenny Retail Park. Or you can browse and buy 24/7 at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home. Treat your pet with a visit to Gary's Pet World. It's what they deserve.
In studio with me now is Deirdre McColgan, Quality Manager at ETB. Good morning to you, Deirdre. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
Great to have you on the show. Right, okay. So this September, Further Education and Training Services will begin offering access routes for 4 degrees courses in partnership with Galway, Roscommon, ETB, Mayo, Sligo, Leitrim, ETB and Atlantic Technological University. So tell us a little bit more about this. This is significant, isn't it?
It is significant, Greg. Most importantly, it removes the points risk. As you know, the whole country moves to the CAO points every year and we worry about what's gone up and what's gone down. This is the very first step towards removing that points trap. We're offering 3 degree courses and 1 access route into nursing, and we think that they are really accessible programs and that they'll also, they're linked to employability areas where people get work if they decide to pursue them. We're looking specifically in the areas of business and science and engineering and an access route into nursing. So we're actually really excited about it.
So to some extent you've already described what a tertiary degree is, but tell us why they're seen as such an important development in an area like the Northwest, for an example.
I think one of the most important things about the tertiary degrees is it's the very first time that higher education and further education are totally working together. We're very unified. We've been working for years to give pathways to people, but they still had to compete for entry. This time you're actually beginning your undergraduate degree for 3 of the programmes within further education and training and then seamlessly progressing into higher education.
So tell me, how then does that exclude the race for the CAO points, and why is that an advantage?
Well, CAO points are really determined by places available. They don't necessarily reflect the academic nature of the course. It just could be that it's a popular course and loads of people are going for it. When you remove that kind of CAO points, people who have, good, fair leaving certs, but are just maybe a few points short and not getting where they want to go, or adults for whom third level was never going to be an opportunity, maybe there wasn't finance in the house. Maybe they just never got the opportunity. The other thing is, Greg, the person you are at 28 is not the person you are at 18. So you see the world differently when you get a wee bit of maturity. So what this does is say, look, if it wasn't for you the first time, you can still go now.
We have an imbalance in this country and in the Northwest. We have fewer people going on to third level for many reasons. An underspend per head, per student, probably not helpful. There are other areas too that need attention. To some extent, do you hope that this might address that imbalance?
we think that it most definitely will. And one of the reasons, if you think about some of the progression routes, what we're saying is if you wanted to do a degree in engineering, say industrial manufacturing, that realistically is a 4-year degree, but you can do the first 2 years of that degree in Donegal, and then you can move on to Sligo or Galway. Now that's 2 years less of accommodation, 2 years less of a financial burden on a family, so you can actually begin it here. Or if your interest, for example, was in computing, you can do your whole degree here and have a world-class qualification to get work.
How many places are available? Do you think there'll be more people interested in these courses than spaces available?
Well, it would be wonderful to be sitting in that situation. We're not sure at the minute. We think we will most definitely have a lot of interest for the nursing. We're hoping that we'll have a good and fair interest in the other 3 programmes. We have 28 places approximately for each programme.
So how do people get more information? And this is not the end of the interview. I want to dig into it a little bit more, but I'm going to mention it now and then ask you at the end again because, people will be waiting for that. So talk to me about who can apply, what they need to apply, where they might get more information.
Anyone can apply from 17 to 77 or older. If you want to apply, put your hat in the ring. One of the best ways to get more information is at www.atu.ie/tertiary degrees. You can have a wee look on there. You'll see all 3 ETB options there. We're hoping you're going to click on Donegal and have a look at what we have. You can also ring the guidance service on 074 91 78088, and Samantha there will be able to talk you through your options as well.
Now this is a benefit, obviously we'd hope to students and give people an option, a pathway, but it's good for the region too, it's good for the county and region. Tell us why that is.
Well, I think if you look, the degree programmes, each of the 3 undergraduate programmes, they have different splits. So you do a common first 2 years in engineering, you do a common first 2 years in business and a common first 2 years in science, but then in the final year or 2 years you're specialising, and each region within the ATU has chosen a specialism that they think will really lift and boost employment opportunities for their specific region. So for engineering, it's computing in Donegal, it's biochemistry and science, and it's innovation and entrepreneurship for Donegal, because at the end of the day, the one thing I know about Donegal people is they'll just get up and they'll get on with it, and they'll look for an idea and they'll run with it.
So you kind of also too at the same time looking for local employment opportunities or local supports, be it Leo or something like that there. Does that factor in as because you want people to have options. We don't necessarily want, it's up to people what they do once qualified to travel away, but I presume ideally, and this is not necessarily what the ETB wants, but we as a society want, is because that might be an overreach from the ETB, but if people can train, educate and then go on to work here, all the better.
That's exactly what we want. And even if people do go away for a number of years and they come back, they bring that expertise with them as well. But what we're saying is, let's look at the skills shortages in this area. We also, as part of developing these degrees, we had to be able to put a case forward to say, look, we haven't just considered this out of nowhere. We believe that there is an academic and an employability option in terms of these offerings.
So talk to me a little bit then about how, I'm hearing you say bachelors and undergraduates and qualifications in 2 years and 2. So can we explain that? Because I've never heard it ever actually explained, and it's not your fault, but I think with people like me, there's this presumption that everyone knows exactly what we're talking about, right? So you're sitting there, 25, decent leaving cert, never went to 3rd level. Now you are saying, okay, and we'll go through these areas if you don't mind afterwards again. But now you say, Reggie, you know what? I wouldn't mind a Bachelor of Science, Honours in Sustainable Engineering Technologies, NFQ Level 8 qualification, right? So your starting point is you've got your leaving cert. It's of a certain standard. So then you're studying year 1, year 2 for what?
In terms
of just the phraseology we use. I just want everyone to fully understand what we'll be talking about.
Well, I suppose every element and every aspect of education in the Republic of Ireland maps onto a framework.
Right.
So whenever we talk about an NFQ, that's a national framework.
Yep.
And it goes from 1 to 10. So if you think about anything from level 1 to level 5 will incorporate the national school learning and second level learning up to leaving certificate, and you will find qualifications like post leaving certificate at a QQI or NFQ NFQ level 5. So that just means
I am understanding this now.
in
Go,
terms
keep
of
going.
1 to
I'm
10,
learning. Yes.
When you've exited after your leaving cert, if you've done a really good honours leaving cert, if you've done a post leaving certificate, you're up there about a level 5.
Yeah.
If you've done a pass level leaving cert or you've undertaken an LCE, you're probably in there around a level 4. So then what we do then is we look forward, and levels 6 to 10 would really, a bit of it comes into further education, but the majority of it goes into the higher education sphere. And what we're doing in tertiary education is saying, listen, there's no need to distinguish between the 6 and the 10. It's all a tertiary education, meaning third part. So it's just the third part of your education journey. And an honours level degree, if you're looking at jobs and you're looking at qualifications and stuff, quite often people will look for an honours, and it's just the way that we break it up is a level 6. We have a higher certificate. So an NFQ level 6 is a higher certificate, a level 7 is an ordinary certificate, and a level 8 is an honours certificate. And it just really reflects the amount of research, the amount of time that you've spent studying your subject, and maybe how specialised you've
And then
gone into it.
employers will actively, dependent on what the skill sets they require, will have an understanding of that, and then that appears in adverts, and it all begins to make sense. Yeah. Right, so the Bachelor of Science in Industrial Laboratory Science. So what kind of work might one do if successful over the last 3 or 4 years of that?
Okay, so you're probably going to work for, there's a range of work available. Some people will work with and maybe even go into the food industry and look at food production and things like that. Other people, biochemistry, will go on to maybe working with chemical companies or the big biopharma companies that we have around the area. And it's actually, if you notice that one, Greg, that's an NFQ level 7, which means it doesn't go up to the honours level. But that option is there to add that if you're there and you're enjoying it at college. But that's because employers are saying to us, look, when your graduates are suitably qualified to level 7, they have everything that we need to get going.
Yep.
So that's why we kind of left that at the 7, and people can top that up then if they wish.
Okay, so Bachelor of Business in Business, this is NFQ level 8.
Yes.
So what kind of work might one get from that?
Well, depending on your option, in terms of entrepreneurship and innovation, you're looking at places like, the ATU campus there, where they've all the wee businesses in the hub, and they're blossoming. The CoLab. Sorry, it left me there, Greg.
That's
Thank
what I'm
you.
here for.
So that would be a perfect idea there. You also have your bigger companies who will be there to take you on. In the Sligo stream, you've supply chain management. So if you look at any of the big industries that we have around, they all have logistics going in and out.
Yep.
They're all talking
kind
about
of
Brexit.
future-proof stuff. This,
okay.
Dealing
with customs, and the last one then is digital business, which gives you a global reach.
Bachelor of Science in Sustainable Engineering Technologies, NFQ level 8.
Yeah. Now the Donegal stream there, we have gone for computing because we think that really reflects the fintech kind of energy that we have in the Donegal area. Whereas if you are looking at the Sligo and Galway options, they're industrial engineering. So you're looking at the bigger companies that they have there, the big pharmaceutical companies, and even somebody from Donegal who was interested in it. That industrial element could take you into one of the manufacturing companies here, one of the big engineering companies.
Yeah, and you'd be presumably starting at a higher grade rather than of income, rather than sort of maybe just the start off. Yeah. And perhaps one of the more accessible, and as you mentioned, perhaps the most popular, is tertiary access route into Bachelor of Science Honours in General Nursing. This is NFQ level 5. So what kind of work might come from that, or?
You're going to be a registered general nurse at the end of it.
Wow,
the one thing to remember about this one is it's a 5-year. You're signing on for 5 years for this one, Greg, and that's really it represents the fact that so many people are applying for nursing, and as I said earlier, it's more about the competition for places that's pushing the points up. And what we're doing is we're saying, look, young people then that don't get it, they might consider a post-leaving certificate course ordinarily, and they may apply then for nursing, but there may be only 4 places under the PLC route in the college, and they're applying with the rest of the country. This tertiary access route, once you've completed that year successfully, and there are mile markers that you have to meet, once you've completed that successfully, there are 20 people automatically getting straight into general nursing. And it's really important to say, look, this is in addition to what's existing. It's not replacing anything, so it's an additional pathway.
This is another pipeline of stuff. Okay, so just remind us then how people get more information.
Okay, so it's www.atu.ie/tertiary degrees. Or you can give us a ring at the guidance service on 074 9178
And hopefully, some people have already been looking at it, but hopefully others have been inspired to say, do you know what? This is something I could do. This is for me now.
Well, why not ask and find out more? And if if it's not the right time for you, in conversation you may discover it's the right time for somebody else.
All right, okay. Is there anything, Deirdre, that we've missed that you want to add? Are you happy enough?
No, that was great. Thank you very
much.
much.
All right, no, thank you so much for calling in. Okay, Deirdre McCulkin, who's quality manager at Donegal ETB, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we'll be back with more shortly.
Eating out later? Sister Sarah's mouth-watering menu is packed with tempting dishes and all-time favourites. Whether it's a special occasion or a private function, their party options and buffet choices have got you covered. Book now on 912238. Sister Sarah's, serving food you love until 9 p.m. every day.
Tá an scéim faoi sa bhí le seomra ligean Cias ar oscailt anois. Agus déad fós suas le 40 million euros sa bhliain a hiilimh séir ó cháin trí seomra de cheach a ligean Cias leach léin. Tá an scéim se oscailta de gach duine, agus ní bheith tionchar eici ard íscíochtaí lesa chóisilig má aon tú iad. Tilla ólis ag gov.ie/contosig room for a student. Tianscanmh de chud réaltas na hÉireann.
Building, buying or renovating? Irwin Expert Electrical, your one-stop shop for all your electrical appliance needs. Enjoy our free layaway service and explore a wide range of brands including energy-efficient, large and small kitchen appliances and food prep essentials. Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
Century Complex Letterkenny are holding their annual charity Family Fun Day in aid of the good and new Donegal Cancer Bus on Wednesday the 26th of July from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Check out our Century Complex social media pages for more information on how you can help support the charity while having fun on Wednesday the 26th of July at Century Complex.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Hannah. Hannah, thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, what is your situation, Hannah? And I suppose we hope that maybe someone out there might be able to help you. But tell us your story.
I'd be so grateful for any help and advice. So I've lived in Ireland for about 7 years. Paid into the service and never used, the taxes, never used the HSE for anything in all that time. And I've been in Donegal now for a year. And during that time, the perimenopause has joined my life, and it entered my life long ago. But I've been managing it myself. I've waited and waited and waited, and I'm now at the point that I can't manage it myself, and I need some medical care. So I've reached out and tried to get registered at a GP practice, and I've been turned away at every door that I've called upon. Maximum capacity is what I'm being told. I've been told to go to A&E if it's an issue, and I refuse to put that on A&E. It's not an emergency. Even the way I'm feeling, it's still not an emergency. And when I'm saying to these practices, what do you think I should do? What's your advice? Because I've had 10 rejections now, so what do you advise? None of them can answer the question. So I have a telephone service at work with the GP. I spoke to them and he said, this is really urgent. You need to get in front of somebody. Granted, I'm trying. So they said that they could look at private clinics for me, private GPs. Fine. Nobody in Donegal, and they won't refer me to a GP that's out of the jurisdiction, so that door was closed.
All right. Well, there is a private service in Letterkenny. Have you contacted them?
I have. I've called them, no response whatsoever. I've been calling. I've got a list of numbers that I try continuously, and I'm not hearing back from anybody. And that's Kingsbridge. I've even tried Sligo. I've reached out to Derry Hospital to see if they can support me. They've got a 2-year waiting list, I'm told, so that's not possible. Today I have had an email back from a service in Belfast, £225 for a 15-minute appointment.
But I mean, we'll talk about that a little bit more, Hannah. But it must be really scary, and you must feel really, really lonely. You know what's happening with your body. You know you've been told you need to get in front of a GP for care. This is supposed to be a very wealthy first world country. This is really, really worrying.
It's frightening, and there are times, and it is isolating, it is lonely, and I'm a wellbeing coach. So there's a lot of things I can do for myself. I'm a yoga instructor, so it's not even like somebody can say, well, try helping yourself before you reach out to us, because, this has been a year to get me to this point for me to ask for help, and it is incredibly frightening. I've got a heart condition that's unmedicated. I deal with that myself as well. But I guess my fear is if I can't get in front of somebody for the perimenopause, what happens if this heart condition one day decides to get worse? What's going to be my situation then? Is it just an A&E appointment and hope for the best? I don't know.
We can't use, and you're quite right, and you recognise, we can't use emergency acute hospital care as a replacement for general practice care, because, that's what you need. So to be clear then, you've tried, before you started going down the private route, you rang a number of GPs in a particular area around the county, because it sounds to me like, Hannah, at this point you're prepared to travel. So you've rang numerous GP surgeries, I take it.
I've rung 10.
Right.
10.
In and around the one area, is it?
Donegal. All in around everywhere. I've literally said I will travel. I'm happy to travel down to Sligo. I'm happy to go to Dublin. I even rung some GPs. I used to live down in Dublin, and I rang them down there, and they said they couldn't take me because they were out my jurisdiction. I completely respect that, because they have their maximum capacity as well. But I genuinely am at a point of there's nothing you can get over the counter. I've got a private medical that I have every year. I pay for it with a separate company, but they don't have tests that cover the perimenopause, so they can't even support me with that. And it's literally a case that I think Google has had every question from me, and even it doesn't know how to respond at this stage. So if anybody's got any advice...
Can I ask what general area you're in, if you don't mind? I think I probably could guess.
Yeah, Bridgend.
Right, okay. That's exactly what I suspected, because we had an issue in the past with an older couple who had moved to the northern area of Donegal, let's say Inishowen, and they were really worried. I don't know how they got on, but they couldn't get access to a GP either. I think there's an obligation if you're on a medical card for GPs to take you on. That's my understanding. I'm open to correction on that. But this is... now, as I say, we'll throw it out there to see what our listeners think, what suggestions they might have for you. Maybe even there's a kind-hearted GP listening to us that might be able to accommodate you. I don't think you're going to be beaten a path to the door. You just need a consultation, some advice, every other day. Like, I think you sound to me like you're big into self-care, and you won't be going down that route unless absolutely necessary.
Exactly. And I've been because they were saying no on the phone, I've actually taken time out of work and gone face to face to plead with them, because I think, I don't want people to think, oh, she just, this is going to be a long-term care thing. She's going to be at our door every 5 minutes. It's not, I don't even want medication to a huge extent. I need somebody to say this is normal or this isn't normal, and this is the help that we can give you. So, I'm not going to be a burden to any surgery that I'm going to be taking up your time on an ongoing.
Yeah, but thancefully, obviously you mentioned perimenopause, you mentioned your heart condition that you're aware of, but we never know what pops up. That again is not an emergency, but I must check this out with the GP, because we're being told check with your GP, don't come to the ED, check with your GP, and that type of thing. Is it a case that you ring now, Doc? And try and get a nighttime appointment? I don't know if you can do that without your... You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're at that point now. What do you do? Right, let us throw it out there. As I say, there are private practices that they say in their adverts that you don't need an appointment, that can see you really quickly. I'm not sure if you've contacted them or had the right number, Hannah. I have. I have to say that, because that is probably an identifiable business, and there could be other reasons, and we'll have to check that out ourselves as well. But we'll throw it out there to the listeners, Hannah, and see if anyone has any advice for you. You're in South Inishowen. You've rang GPs all over the county. You are prepared to travel. No GP will take you on. They all say they're full to capacity, and you want to get in front of them and discuss your perimenopause, and you've been advised by another medical professional that that's in fact exactly what you should be doing. So I think that's it in a nutshell. A caller says Ballykelly will sort you out, and also that Letterkenny Medics Private Clinic, no appointment, you just go. So I'm not sure if it's the Letterkenny Medics Private Clinic. We spoke to them on this programme. Apparently you don't need an appointment, you just turn up.
Okay.
So
they are one. The other thing I must say is that there's this, I think this is just to finish off with this, it's a bigger concern, I think, because if The Letterkenny, I think if this is the right practice, and again,
Well, we have to be. Do you know? We have to be really careful with that, Hannah, because I don't want to do any reputation because we're not really sure we're both talking about the same place. And I appreciate if we weren't on the radio, I'd chat all day to you about it in that regard. But it's just in case, as I say, you know, they do state you don't need an appointment; you can just roll up and get seen there. Sounds to me probably like your best option. But we'll pursue that a little more off air, see if it matches with you and what you need, and hopefully maybe we can find that solution there, Hannah, because I think anyone listening understands your situation and you know, it's completely and people are now texting in saying they have the same problem with dentists and what have you. They can't get to see a dentist.
Crikey.
But anyway, all right, Hannah, leave it with us.
Appreciate your
Okay,
help.
I do hope there's a resolution really soon, and we'll make a few calls just to check on some of the places we've mentioned, Hannah, to see if they can accommodate you. Okay.
Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
You too, Hannah. You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
It's the summer of savings at SuperValu. Enjoy great offers like SuperValu Fresh Irish Housekeeper's Cut, save 33%. Coca-Cola 10-pack cans, only €8. Brancott Estate Sauvignon Blanc, only €10. And money off vouchers every week on the app. For a summer of savings, it's got to be SuperValu. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
It's the home of the vegan butchers, the artisan bakers, the freestyle lyricists, and the trouser suit striders. It's the urban jungle, where the everyday meets the latest wave. And you could see it all from your Seat SUV. From the sharp lines and smart style of the Arona to the bold and beautiful Ateca. And if size is your thing, the Tarraco comes as a 7-seater. See what's in store at seat.ie for our latest offers. And visit DMG Motors, Clough Road, Donegal Town. Because your new Seat is just waiting to see what's next.
All men's wedding suits packages are now 20% off. Just book your wedding suits before August 31st and get a whopping 20% off. Don't stand still. Evolve. Letterkenny Retail Park. Terms and conditions apply.
Entries are now being taken for the Clonmany Agricultural Show. Competitions in sheep, cattle, pony and horse, poultry, home industry, sheep shearing and show jumping. Entries close the 22nd of July. You can enter online at clonmanyshow.com or by entry form to the secretary. Email clonmanyagrishow@gmail.com. The 2-day Clonmany Agricultural Show, the 8th and 9th of August. Packed full of events for all the family.
Experience comfort like never before at half the price in our massive hotel quality mattress sale now on at Better Value Furnishings Moville. Due to overstocking, we must clear hundreds of mattresses at half price. Get your quality mattress at half price and sleep like a king. Better Value Furnishings, Main Street, Moville. See our Facebook for more details.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. Gardening questions on the way. We're going to be looking forward to Mary from Dunloe Festival. That and so much more besides. Don't go anywhere. It's 11 o'clock, as I say. Time for a news update. Michaela Clark, good morning to you.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Ireland have just kicked off in their first ever World Cup match in Sydney. Over 80,000 people have packed out Stadium Australia as the Girls in Green take on this year's hosts. Two Donegal players, Amber Barrett and Ciara Grant, are in the squad. The Gairloch of the Glenties Municipal District says it's clear more Garda resources are needed in Donegal after 2 packages containing suspected cocaine washed up on 2 beaches in the county yesterday. One package was spotted on Ballyherne Beach in Fanad, with another later reported on Tramore Beach in Dunfanaghy. Gardaí are continuing to appeal to people along the North Donegal coastline to keep an eye out for suspicious material over the coming days. On-call firefighters are to strike for a second time in 2 months over pay and conditions in the service. SIPTU says members have voted to reject Labour Court recommendations, supposedly offering an interim solution to their dispute. The union says stations across the country have dangerously low levels of crew on call-out. HICWA has found improvements were required at 3 designated centres for people with disabilities in Donegal during unannounced inspections. Issues were highlighted at Loughnagin and Cloughan centres, as well as the James Connolly Memorial Residential Unit. Meanwhile, during a follow-up review of Chahinroyd, inspectors found that significant improvements had been made with the centre now fully compliant. Younger people and higher earners are worse off in Ireland than in the rest of Europe when it comes to housing costs. Research from the ESRI shows middle and high income earners in Ireland face more extreme rent pressures. The report also shows that the under 40s are being squeezed out of home ownership. And Donegal County Council is being urged to provide for the increased number of electric vehicles on the roads by installing more charging points in the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. A council spokesperson said additional EV charging points are not provided for in the draft local transport plan, but says there may be provisions under the Climate Action Plan. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed. Are you following what's happening in the football? You jumped the gun a wee bit. Of course, 11 o'clock news, the game's kicked off, but it hasn't quite kicked off yet, Michaela.
Oh, right.
If you turn over
Not
your right
running
shoulder,
to schedule,
you'll see. No, they're running a little bit behind there, but Australia are just about to kick off.
Okay, exciting.
Very exciting stuff. And what I note, and it's not often you see it, is during the national anthem, the Irish team knew the words, which I think is quite interesting.
Do you know the words to the national
Yes.
anthem? Oh,
Okay,
very
I'll
good.
just sing it for you now as we play this ad break. Michaela, back at midday. See you then. All right, as I say, they've just kicked off. If you want to stay in touch with that game but not miss out on any of the stuff we've got lined up for you, if there's any major developments in that game, we'll bring them to you live here on the 9 till noon show.
It's the summer of savings at SuperValue. Enjoy great offers like selected personal care like Dove Antiperspirant, Lynx Body Spray, Tresemme Shampoo and Radox Shower Gel save 70%. Exclusive to Real Rewards members only. And money off vouchers every week on the app. For a summer of savings, it's got to be SuperValue. T's and C's apply.
All right, Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochdur Garden Centre is everything all right, Caroline? You need the box. Okay. Do you want to come on camera? Say hello? Caroline, come on. No, she's so shy. Thankfully, Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochdur Garden Centre. You're not shy. How are you getting on?
Not so bad at all. Yourself?
I'm all right, okay. Still 0-0 in the game.
Yes.
We were talking last week about your cucumber and how big it is, and you've brought it in.
Yes.
Let's have a look.
Yes, we have an example
look at
here.
the size of that. That is a big one.
So what I got there. That's a valuable lesson for people to actually, if you're growing stuff, grow what people like. We have a pile of cucumbers at the minute.
Yes.
And nobody will touch them.
Really?
No, landed back to last day. The girls were lying on the sofa with over their eyes. So there
Oh,
were no
no.
like a spam running.
Cucumber sandwich. Ham and cucumber sandwich with a bit of salt takes the moisture out of the cucumber, gets the
very nice.
flavour going. Yeah, that's about the height. That's all I've got.
That's your lunch sorted then?
Just cucumber everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's that other thing? Your plums?
No, peach.
Okay, peach.
There.
Right, so we've got your cucumber and your peach in here now. You grew that yourself as well.
That's your air miles for you. That peach there has travelled about a half a mile.
Right, and that's the one with the big nut on the inside, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. That looks, they're furry, them things, aren't they?
And nectarine's a nut furry one.
Yeah, and is that fruity?
Yes, it's not particularly ripe. That's just one that's seen fell off this morning.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well done. That's brilliant. And it just goes to show what you can grow your own, grow them at home. And as particularly, I think, with the peach, very few air miles.
Yes, absolutely none. No,
You could
compared
have
to
cycled that one in.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, okay. What's the story with the weather? What's going on? I mean, it's going to get a bit warmer for the weekend, which is obviously good for growth and what have you. I wouldn't like to be growing anything in southern Europe at the moment.
No, absolutely not. No,
it's turning into a desert down there.
Aye, it seems to be because
the African desert's moving north.
Yes, I was in Portugal 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and it was very dry and very hot at that stage, but that was nothing compared to what it is now.
So how are our gardens looking at the moment with the local weather?
Pretty drab.
Why is that?
It's just generally where this time of year you're expecting a lot more sunshine.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, even though, like you say, it's quite warm, but it's just the sun's just not there to bring out the flowers. Like a lot of flowers react to the actual sun.
Yeah.
So
that's the trigger.
Yeah, pretty much. But the sunshine levels are just down.
All right, okay. So is there anything we can do other than wait for the golden delicious to come out in the sky?
Pretty much that'll be the key, all right. But there is a few things you can do, like the big heavy showers. If there is heavy showers forecast, like tomorrow's to be quite wet, I think, is if you have pots that move them to a sort of sheltered spot where they're not going to get battered. And you can give them a good trim back at this stage as well, that hopefully if the sun does shine, then they'll bounce back fairly handy.
Yeah, because it is the 20th of July. There's a lot of summer to come yet, though, potentially. So there's every hope that they'll bounce back.
Yeah.
So don't give up on them yet.
No, absolutely not. No, it's too early for that.
So if you can move them to a sheltered spot?
Just if if they're particularly heavy rain forecast, if you know what I mean, it would be no harm to move them to a shelter spot if you think they are at risk of getting damaged.
In terms of, I mean, obviously you talk about deadheading. Is there anything else you can be doing?
Yes, pretty much. If they're looking a bit sort of straggly and sort of lank at this stage, you could give them a wee trim back, like sort of slightly more severe than deadheading, if you know what I mean, just to reshape them nicely and hopefully have them ready for whenever the sun comes.
Yeah, and that's it. The last one's fingers crossed. Right, in terms of harvesting now, obviously in your harvesting, because you've got your cucumber and your peach here, and we've talked through the years, people say, when's the best time to plant this, when's the best time to plant that. What's harvesting now at the moment?
Harvest now, generally the big thing around here will be potatoes. Should be more or less started your sort of first and second early, sort of from mid-July. It'd be good to go. The tomatoes are growing quite well, and even onions and that you could start harvesting from now on.
All right, okay. And you talked about the valuable lesson that you've learned. How many cucumbers have you going spare now at the moment?
Funny, about a week ago there was a pile. Now we're sort of at a wee lull, but another 2 weeks time there'll be a pile more, I'd say. But no,
okay.
I made that mistake with radishes before as well.
Yeah.
It's actually just a pile of radish and nobody wanted them. Nobody touched them.
Okay. We were talking earlier, actually through the community garden slot, and it was by the by, and it's no criticism of anyone, but talking about how, mowing your lawn, if you regularly mow your lawn, really, that is get someone to do it. It's a good indicator if you're away from home that you're, suggests that you're home. And lots of people texting go, well, not everyone mows the lawn now. Now, it was part of a multiple faceted advice.
Yeah.
But in terms of, wildflower patches, wild gardens, people actually not touching their lawns, is there much of that happening now?
There seems to be a good bit. There's obviously the No Mow May campaign and all. Like this time of year, there's plenty of other things available for pollinators, if you know what I mean. But no, a lot of people are choosing to do, maybe not no mow, but do it less frequently to allow sort of wildflowers not to develop,
Yeah, because Alan O'Reilly, the Carlow weather guy, he was up with us last Friday, and I noticed some pictures he posted. I don't know if it's all of his garden or some of it, but the colour was amazing.
Yes.
I think if I did that at home, it just would look a mess, if you know what I mean. So do you need to sow? Do you remember that seed you brought in last year?
Ideally, if you want sort of the big variety of colours.
Yeah, just the beautiful reds and purples
exactly.
and yellows.
If you want that, you generally have to sow for it. But I reckon for nature's point of view, the best thing to do is just leave it alone.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing around here, you tend to get daisies and buttercups, which
that's it.
Drab. Yeah. If people are looking for wildflowers, they're a great example of it in Letterkenny at the minute. There is, the council has the grass roof building, sort of just directly opposite it there. By the
okay, let's have a look at that.
It's lovely looking the minute, so it is.
Yeah, all right, okay. That's opposite the grass roof building. Is there actual grass on that roof?
No, it's actually sedums. Is the plant on it. It's a wee succulent plant. It's almost related to a cactus.
Yeah, and it's orange a lot of the time.
It is. It goes through different phases of the season, but they can survive 8 weeks without water.
Yeah, well, they won't have to last that long around here.
No, not at the minute anyway.
I know what you're saying. Okay, 7 minutes gone. Australia 0, Ireland 0. Greg, please ask Paul, when can I plant out in soil a hydrangea plant that's still flowering? That comes in from Mary.
Yes, well, if it's in a pot, you can plant out at any stage. It'll be happy enough. The only thing about hydrangea is that you're better getting a bag of ericaceous soil, which is lime-free soil, to go in with it. They prefer that. So, but in terms of time frame, you can plant out at any stage.
Paul, a self-pollinating apple tree produced a single apple last year, none to be seen this year, although there were some blossoms. What should I do? What could be going on?
Well, generally, if it's blossoming, it's actually trying to produce fruit, if you know what I mean. So just try to keep an eye on it at the stage where the blossoms come on. Because sometimes actually the birds, as the wee apples forming, birds can sort of attack that, if you know what I mean. If there's a lean time for
Is he getting enough food, the tree?
Pretty much. Generally now, you could feed it with a general purpose fertiliser now, and then come about March, April time, feed it with potash.
I've got black spots on my tomatoes, Paul. What's the problem?
The most common problem there would be a thing called blossom end rot. Is where the actual back end of the tomatoes where the blossom had been starts to rot from there up. What is generally the cause of that there would be sort of infrequent watering. Tomatoes can be quite fussy in terms of when they like to be watered quite regularly. If you water them irregularly, they sort of grow in fits and bursts.
Yeah, I get you.
So they can end up rotting like that. So that's likely. If you even Google blossom end rot, I would say that'd be 99% sure that'd be what.
Right. Can I use grass as mulch on no dig?
Yes.
So what are we talking? Just to remind people, no dig. That's you talked about this before, just last week or the week before, and just talk to me about what no dig is again and what the role of mulch would be in that. Then, grass mulch.
No dig is a means of growing fruit and vegetables. Seems to be a lot of people have very good success with it. It would be you don't actually disturb the ground that you're working on at all. What you do is cover it over with cardboard. And that has the effect of killing off the grass and all, and put maybe a layer of 6 or 7 inches of compost on top of it, and then as the time goes on, the ground below comes into play whenever the cardboard sort of melts or whatever, if you know what I mean. So, but generally, because it's becoming quite expensive to set up, a lot of people use their own compost, which would be the idea of using the grass clippings of that. Grass clippings are grand to use, but they're very high nitrogen. So what you have to do then is you have to actually mix it with other stuff, such as leaf mold or branches or something sort of where a more brown texture. Like if you're into compost, it's like you have your greens and browns, which is your greens is obviously the grass cuttings and that sort of stuff. So you need sort of an even mixture of both. So grass cuttings are grand, but just you need an equal share of something else to mix with them.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Low maintenance shrubs, grasses for borders, things that will look good all year round, please.
Yeah, things look good all year round. Generally, if you're doing like for a border like that, you want to mix it in terms of have stuff that looks good all year round, but have sort of thing that will become the star of the show for a few weeks at a time. So to start with that, something like azaleas are perfect for early colour. Then summertime hebes, that sort of stuff, and even like your hydrangeas for the back end, like September, October sort of time. Would do the job.
Is there anything I can plant this time of year to add some colour to the garden? Shrubs or flower, preferably something that will come back yearly.
Yeah, loads of perennial stuff there at the minute that'll give you good colour now, and will come back again. Like I said, for this time of year, like the dahlias are perfect there, and apart from dahlias, you would shrub wise, you'd Hebe, something like that there, or even Rudbeckia there, the black-eyed Susan is very good for late on sort of September, October colour.
Right, okay. Can I cut back hydrangeas? It has got very big and a lot of blooms. When it gets rain, it's all on the ground with weight and wet blossom.
Yes, you can cut them back. Unfortunately, cutting them back at this stage of the year, you're going to actually end up losing a lot of your blooms, pretty much. But if it's a sacrifice you're willing to make, it's perfectly all right to cut them back now. The ideal time would be to whenever it finishes flowering, probably October time around that, or even early in the spring.
A caller says, tell Paul we've went through 4 large homegrown cucumbers this week. Delicious. So you're going to have to get a little bit more adventurous in the kitchen, I think.
Yes, I did. So look a few more recipes.
Right, okay. Caller says she's got a lot of chickweed in her plant bed. Can Paul recommend anything to get rid of it? Chickweed?
Chickweed, some like chickweed. There are a few sort of very invasive things like that. Once it gets in, it's very hard to get rid of.
What's it look like?
Chickweed, if it's what I'm thinking of, is actually it's like a greeny thing, it's sort of a wee yellow flower that happens.
Okay, yeah.
It sort of spreads, and there's a very strong smell of it generally. So there is. But someone like that there, if you're growing stuff in the beds, it's very hard. Like if you don't want to use chemicals or that, where you'd be growing food, pretty much just remove it and sort of keep on top of it and try and get the roots out as best you can too.
I was chatting to someone who got white stone gravel put down in the driveway around the house. It looks brilliant to begin with.
Yeah.
But then what happens is leaves start falling on it and it turns brown and weeds start coming through. And, you know, what's the best way to maintain something like that?
Best way to maintain that,
as I say, it looks brilliant day one, but very quickly it can start looking a bit more tatty than what you replaced it with.
Yes, pretty much. Something like that there, in terms of, a lot of the time it is, like you say, it's the leaves falling on something like that there. So if you actually just sort of, the main thing would be sort of make sure there's plenty of drainage, because if water tends to congregate on it, it tends to grow algae and that sort of stuff. But the big part of it would be to start with, get something like a leaf blower, and actually in the autumn time just make sure you clear the leaves off it. It would cause a lot less bother next year, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But just sort of regularly raking it and agitating it.
Yeah. Out the back of the house, I got stone put down, but I'm going to be tortured here with weeds and what have you. So I put down plastic underneath. It's not plastic, it's the natural stuff that you put. Tram stuff. Put the stones down. The stones were only about 1 or 2 deep, and bloody weeds still grow anywhere.
Absolutely, yeah.
No soil.
Yeah.
Very little moisture, and it's as if
it's just
all is covered in weeds. They will grow anywhere.
It's paradise for them, pretty much. So doesn't it? If you try to grow something there,
I just presumed no soil, little moisture, stones. You know, and there you go. They will get in anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. What do you got? So something like that there, if it's in a driveway, that sort of weed killer, probably every so often would be an option.
But I thought I was going down the maintenance-free option.
Yes,
but little did I know.
Unfortunately, with the garden, there's such thing as low maintenance, but there's no such thing as no maintenance.
That's it. One last one here. Finally got apples on my 2 trees this year and was delighted with myself, but a lot have fallen off, and ones on the tree are going black. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, whenever you sort of do get excited about getting sort of seeing the first fruit and stuff like it, can happen like that. But there could be a few options there. Sometimes it's insects actually attacking them, and sometimes it can be a fungal sort of thing with the black spots. Best thing to do there probably would be take a few pictures and maybe visit your local garden centre.
Yeah. All right. Listen, Paul, thank you for visiting us. We really do appreciate it. Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochder Garden Centre, was just below us here at the mountaintop in Letterkenny. He'll be back with us soon. Paul, thanks for that. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Enjoy great live music every Saturday night at Larkins of New Mills. Now under new management. Get a bucket of 5 beers for just €20. Bar food available from the Bites menu. Also check out the new summer menu now at Larkins Restaurant. For great food and entertainment, visit Larkins of New Mills. See Facebook for details.
Pick up the perfect dinner guest at M&S with 20% off our classics wine range. Maybe a crisp, elegant Pinot Grigio, or a sparkling Prosecco, or perhaps a sumptuous Chianti. With 33 wines in the range, there's a classic wine for every occasion, and you'll only get them with 20% off at your local M&S. Terms and conditions apply. Please drink responsibly.
Raymond Sweeney here to let you know about some great value laptops we now have in stock, like the super affordable Ventura Europa, powered by an Intel Celeron processor, ideal for studying, e-learning and keeping up to date with the latest news for just $249. Also the super fast Avita Pura laptop with a Ryzen 5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage for only $399. Check out these and other great value laptops now at Ben Sweeney Euronics in Letterkenny and Dunloe.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yes, but a Joy apple keeps the sadness away. Crunchy, juicy with a hint of acidity. Get some Joya in your favourite store. Eat Joya, taste the joy. And with the Joya contest, you can win an electric car.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. 18 minutes past 9. It remains 0-0 in Ireland's opening game in the Women's World Cup. 15 minutes gone, and Ireland actually really quite competitive. Quite a bit of defending, but plenty of attack too. Right, okay, we are not long away now from the 56th Mary from Dunloe. Mary from Dunloe 2023. It runs from Saturday the 29th of July to Monday the 7th of August, and we have two of the organisers in studio with us. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Pat Nora Gallagher, Director of the Mary of Dunloe Festival, and Gavin Boyle, Assistant Director of the Mary from Dunloe Festival. Good morning, both of you.
Morning, Greg. Thank you for having us here.
Right, you can see, Pat Nora, I'll start with you by looking through the, what do you call these things? Brochure. A lot of planning, a lot of organisation has gone into this.
Yes, if you go through it in detail, it's 106 events that are on in total. That's a lot of planning for and a lot of events happening for over a 10-day period, so it has to be precise and concise and everything. And every day is equally as important as the previous one or the next day. So we have give it a great attention, right? And I have to say, and Gavin will agree, we're getting tremendous help.
Yeah, and that's required, isn't it?
Yes,
is
indeed.
it getting easier or more difficult to run these big annual events, Gavin? Because the Mary from Dunloe Festival's gone through peaks and troughs in terms of, we've heard stories of we need more backing if we're going to keep it on and all that. I heard nothing like that this year, but is it getting more difficult to run these huge events?
I would say yes and
Can you
no.
Just move that way a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Sorry, thank you.
I'd say yes and no, really. It has its peaks and its troughs.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, we have brought on board a lot more new sponsors this year, additionally to what we had before. So it's about how you work it, really, and what you give back to the sponsors that come on board. And we want to give them something not only for their monetary contribution, but give them something marketing-wise and promotion-wise back for them as well. So we're working to build a kind of better base for that there.
Yeah, indeed. And it's there's something for everyone. over the course of the I can never tell how many days it is because I can't figure off the top of my head how many days are in July. But
it's about 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah. August is the big winner this year. Yes, indeed.
Everyone knows me. As soon as it straggles the end of a month, I'm lost. But it's to balance it out over the course of the 10 days and have something for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at a program, generally the way I look at it over the years is you have the opening weekend. That's fine. And then you have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that we dedicate mainly to the children's events. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
And then you have from Thursday in, it's all about the Marys again. So it is leading up to the Carnival Parade Sunday and the Crown and Cabaret. So that's basically the way we divide it up. But we do make sure that there's plenty for the children on the day.
Now, of course, Pat Nora, Daniel O'Donnell's involved again this year. A huge part of the success, his support of this event.
Yeah, well, Daniel's name is synonymous with the festival. I'm sure you'll agree there, Gavin.
Totally,
that'll be totally. And he is forever on hand and more than willing. As a matter of fact, there's he who talked me into coming back in here.
No, I was going to ask you about that, but go on.
No, don't. We'll skip that one.
Okay.
He did say, or he always says, please ask me. Isn't that right?
Yeah, he's always on hand, and he does this off his own free time, and all you
he's
need to
personally
do is
invested in this. I think it's
very
the
much
easiest
so.
way to
Yeah,
describe
and
it.
being
And
honest,
it's success.
anybody that is involved in the festival is personally involved because there's nothing any other way to come back out of it. So he is involved in it, and he has a great.
Move this slightly here. Just
He has a great passion for the festival and promotion for both Donegal and Ireland, as we all know that there. So, but he's so on hand anytime we need him. He may just appear when you don't even expect him to appear.
Yeah. Kathleen Watkins is coming to officially open to launch the festival. How important is that?
Well, she's coming to open to launch the Gay Byrne Trail on the Friday prior to the festival opening.
Talk to me about the Gay Byrne Trail. Sorry.
Right. Well, on that, as you know, no more than Daniel, Gay Byrne is there since 1964. His name has been synonymous with the festival starting up, and we just thought this might be a nice way to link in the festival, link in his name, and have him forever remembered in the area. So we came up with the idea. Gay and Kathleen and family and friends walked through the Rosses, to quote from Alice Taylor's School Through the Fields. Remember that book that she wrote? But anyway, walked through the Rosses, and we thought of the Gay Byrne Trail. We were in touch with Donegal County Council, who came on board. Wonderful idea. So now Kathleen will come down on Friday before the festival starts, and at Guibara Bridge there at the Greenway there, she will launch the Gay Byrne Trail. And we'll start off, we have a new N56. I don't know if you've seen it, the cycleway from Dunlow to Glenty. Yep. So we will do from Guibara down to Dunlow. And there's actually 7 different routes you can walk there. That takes in the stroll, the challenging, and then, of course, in between there's all the lovely ways. And, of course, you have the Atlantic coastline, which would be a 39-kilometre walk from Guibara to Dunlow. Yeah. And the handiest route, of course, is the new N56, fabulous, and that's only 14 kilometres.
Gavin, there's so much planned over the 10 days that I don't want to start myself picking stuff out, right? So I'm going to leave that over to you. You're the brains behind this part of this segment then. So I mean, there is definitely something for everyone, but there's some huge events. So take us through some of the highlights for you over the course of the festival.
Highlights possibly we'll start off at the very beginning. We have Maya Brennan from Clannad, who's actually going to officially open the festival for us this year, and we're very fortunate to have Maya this year because it's Clannad's 50th year, and they're also being recognised by Donegal County Council this year, so it's a big, and it's an honour for us to have them there as well. Brilliant, works out really well. Moving from there, we have Country Sunday, which is always a big day. Again, we have Daniel, Fergal, Sean Cuddy, David James, to name but a few on that there. We've a fashion show on the Tuesday night, Ronan Collins and the Showband Show Wednesday night.
That's going to be a big year. We had Ronan on the programme.
Thank you, yes.
No, it was great to get access to him.
And it's great to have him back to Dunlow.
And it's going to really pull in a broad audience that from all over the place, because Showband, it's synonymous, that Showband era with around here, and it was so fleeting actually, and yet it still resonates so much. Sorry, go ahead.
Not at all. And then we have Honor. the 4 guys from
the
South
biggest
Donegal.
thing in the county at the moment. if
We
not
are
the country. Yeah.
lucky to have them. They're there on the Thursday night, and they finish off after the Law Gala. We have a local guy, Carl Doherty, who organises the full Law Gala from morning to evening. So he's a fun-packed day for everybody.
And he does a fabulous job.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yes,
yeah, really, really good. We've the Garth Brooks tribute on the Friday night, 80s and 90s street disco on the Saturday night. We've a couple of broadcasts with yourselves. David's down one day and then yourself down another day, Greg. And culminating then, now we also, should I add, on the Friday during the day, we have the Slavic Day. So we have a lot of Polish and Ukrainian nationals now living in our areas, and there's a local girl, Patricia O'Donnell, who's taken this upon herself to organise a traditional Slavic Day for us. And we're very fortunate as well to have the Polish ambassador and the Ukrainian ambassador coming to Dunlow for the day. So
now,
it's
before
great.
we get to the what someone sees the showpiece, Pat Nora, in terms of people accessing it, getting tickets, there's no reason why people from right across the region, because there's people travel from all over the world and country to it, that can't go through the brochure and pick out things they want to attend. So is it a case of just getting as far as Dunlow? There'll be parking there presumably, and you can pay for most of these events presumably at the gate and inverted
and
commas.
tickets online as well.
Yeah, there's tickets available online for anybody that isn't going to be there until the actual day, so they can get them. But there's only so many events that are actually being ticketed or paid a gate type of thing, because we do try to give as much
free
back
as possible. I get you,
and again, that's what we're our sponsors are coming on board for, so that we can give people back a little bit of entertainment and just during
And
that
I
as well.
can't emphasize enough for those who aren't aware how beautiful a part of the world this is, how welcoming it is, and how unique the atmosphere is. And I do genuinely believe around this entire festival, it's a very unique experience. And if someone's never gone before for whatever reason, make it this year to go for a day or an evening or a couple of days, because I think there'll be regular visitors again if they do. I mean, most people probably have, Gavin, or Pat Nora, but I mean, make it this year, because it really is a very special event, I think.
Yeah, well, we talked about that a few times over the Christmas, and that's where we also came up with, let's expand, let's do something different, let's give people more reason to come to Dunlow. And one of the things we came up with was the Shorefront Day, which actually started off as, let's do something fun for the Children's Day, is not correct? And then we have bad tides, we have neap tides that day, and it didn't work out, but we still, everybody we spoke to wanted to go ahead with it. And now, as you can see there from the brochure, we have the Health and Safety Day with all the services, the lifeboat, the ambulance service, the
Gardaí.
The Gardaí, I've said it so
RNLI.
often to keep for the RNLI. We've said that the civil defence, the defence forces, and Randux, who have the major plant in Dunlow. They've been very generous with their sponsorship, and I'm delighted to say that Randux, the Irish Defence Forces, and the Garda Síochána and Donegal ETB will use the event to promote recruitment. Is that correct?
Yeah, they all have recruitment drives.
But it's
on.
also an amazing spectacle, all of these services all in the one
especially
place.
location-wise,
All
along
the family.
along the shore.
Right along the
It's great.
shorefront there,
It's
we have
really,
the
really
pier
lovely.
by
It
the Church
showcases
of
the
Ireland,
area very
the two
well.
sides of the river, the car park, we have all that there. And as I mentioned, Randux there, and as you know, they are a major employer in our area, and they are highlighting the vacancies for particularly in science and engineering. Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Okay, we can come back to other stuff, but on to the Mary from Dunlow now. Caitlin's tenure coming to an end. She's done a fantastic job, and there's been a huge interest from all over the place, Gavin, in replacing her.
Yeah, Caitlin's been really great this year. She really, really is.
She's always been around the festival for ages, doing stuff. It was a beautiful end to that whole.
Yeah, you feel as if she's been a Mary for 4 or 5 years longer, and it's great to the fact that she did win it last year, and she's done so much promotion and everything for Donegal and Dunlow all year. She's been absolutely brilliant between New York
she's
and
everywhere.
London.
Everywhere you
she
go,
pops
there
up
she is.
anyway.
Yeah.
You get a message, I am going to X tonight. You're a brilliant girl, go for it. And she has been just honoured, and we're lucky this year. There has been so much interest in Mary's applying in different areas, wanting to apply. We are slightly restricted because we only have a certain amount of Marys we are allowed for TV and on those things, but overall the interest is massive again. It's great, and it's great to have it.
Some brilliant people.
And our
they're
first
all
Dubai.
brilliant.
Our first Dubai Mary this year, yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
Yes,
very
indeed,
much
yeah.
indeed. Talk to me, Gavin, or Pat Nor, whichever you prefer, about the broadcasting of it, because that's really quite significant, I think, in terms of people being able to watch it.
Yeah, we're again fortunate this year that TG Cahar and Gale Media have come on board with us, and they are going to live stream the Crowning Cabaret on the Sunday night. It's starting at about 8 o'clock live, and so if you're anywhere in the world, it's just a matter of going on to the TG Cahar iPlayer, and you can see it straight away. And obviously, we'll be marketing the streaming link and everything for that.
Exactly, making it as easy as possible to
easy
find it on the
yeah,
night.
we're very fortunate because you're able to showcase both the area. As well, because we're involved with Donegal County Council as well, so we're trying to showcase different areas within Donegal, be it Fannet Lighthouse, Sleevely, Glencolmkill,
and a host of places in between. Donegal is an enrichment of tourism.
I'd like to pick out 10 good places because there's so many.
Yeah. So we're trying to squeeze them into
the sponsors as well, which is always really helpful.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know the commercial side of it as well. Right. So, is there any tickets available for the likes of the cabaret? I can't remember the exact terminology.
The Crowning Cabaret is Sunday night. Yes, of course there is. Yes, and our festival office is opening on the main street next Monday. Compliments of Thomas Pringle TD. He's given us the use of his office.
The Gala Ball's sold out though.
The Gala Ball is sold out.
Got
yeah,
it,
but our
okay.
festival office is next door to the AIB. Our tickets available there, and of course the Waterfront Hotel in Dunlow has got tickets.
And there's tickets online.
I mean, there's park runs. Yeah. I mean, you could go through all of it. There's so much different stuff going on. Hi, Greg. What would be the best road to use to get to Dunlow? Well, it depends, listener, where you're coming from. If it's Aaron Moore, I suggest you take a ferry. I mean, obviously, from South Donegal, you go through Glentees and up the new N56.
Yes,
from Letterkenny in the north of the county, it would be out past Errigal, really.
Past Errigal around Dunfanaghy, depending on what direction
and
it comes
in terms of parking or where to leave the car, where people travelling in, there's quite a bit of parking around.
There is, and there are days that the street is closed off, but there are parking available in all the supermarkets. You have SuperValu in Lidl, and they're all maybe a 5-10 minute max walking distance from the town centre.
Yeah.
So you would never be stuck.
You'll hear wherever you parked, you'll hear the crack, and you'll know where to go anyway.
Yeah.
And we do give consideration to the businesses as well on the main street in particular who require deliveries, etc. So everybody works together on it. Right. It's not the hard and fast.
He's all excited now. There's always work to be done, but I think hopefully 90% of the hard work has been done in terms of prep. Gavin's looking at Pat Nora for inspiration.
Pat Nora's looking at.
We haven't even planned anything.
We're in a vacuum, aren't we? You know that you can do so much up to.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you have to wait a couple of weeks, and then you think, oh my God, we forgot. You can't see the wood for the trees, isn't that it?
Yeah. Right. So as you said quite rightly, there's a mixture of events. As much as is possible, there's freeze events, there's events on the streets, there's events in venues. The best thing to do is check it out. Plan a couple of days. Plan a couple of days, and I mean, this is the type of event too. We're a big enough county, but it's no harm. Like, you can travel in and out if someone's a designated des or whatever it might be, a bus load. There's loads of great bus.
We're lucky this year as well, Greg, that not only have we organised a brochure full of events, the various pubs in the town as well and venues in the town also have the programme. We're working together with that programme and with the traders and everything in the town to bring it all together as one rather than doing it individually, which has worked out very well because they have some great names coming into it and they're all taking people to the area, which is brilliant.
Yeah, again, check out the brochure because we can't really mention everything, but the Ross's Ukulele Group, for an example, are playing on the 5th of August. On the same day, there's a children disco where the Little Miss Mary selection will take place, which will be great.
It's a fun day. That's fun.
There's lots of great stuff. Street music, 7:30 to 9:30 by Daniel Walsh, followed by 80s and 90s street disco with a brilliant DJ. That's just picking Saturday the 5th
Can we just, when you mention like that there, Daniel O'Donnell has always wanted to promote give young people a chance, because he said once upon a time I was young and I got a chance through his sister Margot, isn't that right?
That's right.
So he said if you can do something to bring new people and young people on, give them the chance.
And he doesn't just say it, it's evident. Anyone who reads between the lines, you can see that he shares his platform with other people.
So we set aside a full evening on the Tuesday evening of the festival from 7 o'clock until whenever, that there's maybe about 15 local young artists just in their early teens.
And in fairness, it's great to see you embrace it too, because you used to doing it too.
Yeah, so they'll be there too.
So that's the open mic session and local artists, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. A host of wonderful young local talent taking to the stage to show the fantastic talent and musical abilities. And can you imagine, for some of them, it would be the biggest stage. What a brilliant
totally.
buzz.
They're so excited about it. Not even that, but their parents and grandparents are so excited about it for them as well, to say that we're playing on the stage in the Mary from Dunlow Festival. It's great for them.
It's massive. It really is.
Can I ask your listeners? Sorry, whenever you were talking there about TG Carr and all worldwide looking at. We have people calling in this morning who are listening to this programme, and Anne McLaughlin, our neighbour in Dunlow, in Nottingham, she's sitting in she listens to Highland Radio. You are worldwide as well, it's not just TG Carr.
That's
Highland Radio really are, But
the diaspora is so important, and that's why we don't just talk about them. We try and get out there as much as we can.
Yes,
that's correct. To go and
what I was going to say there about, can I ask people to look at the programme, be it online or whatever, and look at our Saturday, the Health and Safety Day, and look at the participants that are in that there. And when I'm dealing with all those people there that you see on the list, down at the that's the one down at the bottom there. If you look at that there on the list, I have Pieta and Jigsaw, who are so enthusiastic wanting to come to it because they are there for everyone. We will never know who, but they are there for everyone.
Okay, so that's the Shorefront Health and Safety Family Day. It's Saturday the 29th of July between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Randox, RNLI, Irish Coast Guard, the Gardaí, Sheephaven Sub-Aqua Club, and especially in a coastal area like that we live in. Yes. These people are just invaluable. The National Ambulance Service, Donegal Mountain Rescue, Donegal Civil Defence, the Irish Coast Guard, the Bumbegs and Killybegs, Killybegs Marine Cluster, Pieta Jigsaw, as you mentioned, the Donegal ETB as well too.
Donegal, and we have the Moynes Pipe Band, and we have the Solace Dancers coming in from Northern Ireland. Just a nice afternoon of entertainment.
The street music, is it a mixture of free and paid, or what's the story there? The listener wants to know.
Yeah, the majority of it is free. We just have a few events that are paid into the Honor.
And
have an entry fee.
Gareth Brooks.
Yeah. That's the two. The rest of that there is really all free, apart of unless they're in venues.
Are the Conquerors going to be at the festival, and if so, what day and time? Will they
Wednesday with Roland Collins? Yes, indeed. Yeah, and in the Waterfront Hotel, Sandy Kelly and Brendan Shine. Yes,
right, so that's 8 p.m. Roland Collins sings the show band hits with the Conquerors show band, as you heard from Pat Nora there. Sandy Kelly, Brendan Shine, Sandy Kelly, I beg your pardon. And tickets are available at hotel reception or maryfromdunlow.ie. That's Wednesday the 2nd of August from 8 p.m. So it's going to be a cracking night. Anything that either of you want to mention now?
Can I give the festival phone number out? Right, top of my head.
Yeah, good luck with it.
Good luck with it. He doesn't know it. 087 1212 180.
Well, in fairness, it's a handy.
He's looking over saying, how did you remember that?
You're not going to get a round of applause. It's a handy.
087 1212 180.
Yeah, and these things rely on lots of different.
You're blushing.
Things.
You're blushing.
These things rely on lots of different things. The great support of local businesses, sponsors, but also for people to get out and enjoy the festivities and support them with their feet as well.
Without a doubt, really come and see.
And we're delighted that Highland Radio are coming for the 2 days.
Yeah,
really
I think
are.
We're on the 4th, Friday the 4th. The 9 to noon show is
the 9 to noon show.
David's there.
See, poor David's not even mentioned. You're biased.
Me, I am, of course. I'm old.
David is on the main street.
I'm not like Daniel O'Donnell supporting and embracing young talent.
David's on the main street on the Wednesday afternoon, and you're at Super Value on Friday morning to do the 9 to noon show.
You're good, Pat Nora, remembering all of that. Indeed, yeah. All jokes aside, the Highland Radio broadcast with David James, presenting the Jive Chime Show. Come along, put in your request, and Jive the Evening awaits from 2:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. his regular slot, but he's a music show and he's going to have a lot of fun. And we're obviously a fun show as well, and we're going to have a lot of fun on the Friday.
Yes, and you'll do the review of the papers as you normally do from 9 to 10. And Super Value are our sponsors there, and they're delighted they're going to do a host of little giveaways during your programme.
I like it. About time. Right, okay. Anything else, gentlemen, that you wish to add? It's just a case now of...
If I could, I will. There's two special ladies at home in Dunlow, Mary McGee and her sister Margaret Riley, who have the honour of opening the Burton Port Festival this year, and we just want to wish them well, and the Burton Port Festival that's starting on Saturday night, all the best as well. It's a neighbouring festival, and they kind of run the week before us, so to them we wish them well.
And a great honour to Mary and Margaret. They're my cousins, of course, and I love them dearly, and it's a great honour to them. Yes, they do so much in the community for music societies, etc., etc.
All right, check out maryfromdunlow.ie if you want to see what's coming up and where it's at and what you can look forward to. We really want to see loads of you down for our show on the Friday, please. We do love meeting people, and also for David's show on the Wednesday. But you can go on to maryfromdunlow.ie, plan out what you're going to be doing, but also if you can get your hands on a physical brochure too, it's obviously a Gaeilge and in English as well. Back after the break. Thank you, Pat and Laura. Thank you, Gavin.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Summer reductions on your favourite brands at Brian McCormick Sports, Brooks and Asics with 20% off. Check in-store and online. Brooks Glycerine and Adrenaline 22 GTS save 20%. Asics Keanu 29, Asics GT 2011 save 20%. Get ready for the summer and save 20% off your favourite kids' Asics trainers. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
McElhenney's summer sale has just gotten bigger and better. Don't miss out on amazing offers with up to 50% now off fashion, kids, home, jewellery and cosmetics. Shop our summer sale in-store at McElhenney's department store Ballybuffet or online at mcelhenneys.com.
On this week's Business Matters, I'm joined by the founder and owner of the Milk Bar in Kerrigan's, Shannon Porter. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters in association with the ATU Donegal Faculty of Business. If you have an undergrad in any discipline and would like to reinforce it with a Masters in Business, ATU are offering their Masters in Business Management Conversion Programme. Call 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie.
Gavin here from iMotors. Join me on the Nissan Roadshow in Super Value Dunlow the 20th of July, 11am to 8pm. Killybeg Super Value 21st of July, 11am to 8pm. And Kiernan's Ballyshannon 22nd of July, 10am to 5pm. As we will be showcasing our 232 Nissan lineup. Test drive on the day and be in with a chance of winning a €500 Super Value voucher. iMotors, your Nissan dealer for the Northwest.
At Centra, shop smart and feel good with great offers this week, like Centra Fresh Irish Beef Round Roast 1 kilo only €10, Kitten Soft Toilet Tissue 24 roll, and Surf Tropical Lily 45 wash €10 each, and Screaming Devil Cote de Provence Rosé only €12. Centra, live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Okay, 41 minutes gone now in the Australia versus Ireland World Cup match, and it's been even and competitive from what I've been glancing now and again, whilst not taking my eyes off my guests, of course. So it looks like potentially Ireland could go in at the break level. We'll keep you updated with that. Right, Kevin McGinley, Superintendent Inspector with the ISPCA, and he joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, I read that animal protection is becoming an issue in Donegal, with so far this year 150 complaints of animal cruelty received. Can you put those figures into context for us, Kevin?
I can, Greg, as best that I can. I suppose recently the ISPCA has unfortunately had to take the decision to launch an emergency appeal called Stop the Pain. This appeal is largely based on the situation that has developed throughout the country at the present moment in time after the post-pandemic surge, particularly in relation to dogs. We're finding that more dogs are being found to be found left neglected, abandoned, or in need of rescue, and as a result, that has put a huge demand in terms of our capacity and our financial capacity and able to do that, Greg.
And of these complaints, as they're described, are they separate to people contacting the organisation and saying, look, my circumstances have changed, I can no longer care for this animal, or is that a separate set of figures, or are they all grouped in together?
Yeah, that's a separate set of figures,
Right, okay.
Greg. I can tell you that annually the ISPCA receives approximately 12,000 calls per annum from the public for different questions in relation to services, help, and so on and so forth. The figures that you've just illustrated there today of 150 calls there in terms of Donegal, that's 150 calls that I have personally dealt with so far this year in terms of people's perceptions of animal cruelty in Donegal.
And I mean, they're all worrying cases, of course, but are you seeing any particular worrying trend in responding to those calls, Kevin?
We're seeing, and I've spoken to various people connected with animal welfare, the length and the breadth of the country, specifically in terms of dogs. The demand for dogs throughout COVID was huge. Dogs were being bought for astronomical amounts of money. I did welcome that people were taking on the responsibility at that time to take the responsibility of bringing a new pet or a new dog into their house. But I urge caution that, when things would eventually get back to normal after COVID, then my fear would be that these animals would become neglected or possibly abandoned, and unfortunately that has turned out to be the case, Greg. Before
we remind people of how they can help and support through donation, in terms of homing animals, eventually presumably you don't want to either in perpetuity house many animals. Well over capacity now at this stage, with further accommodation being provided, of course, and acquired. But, in terms of people who can offer a good home to a pet, what are the options there? What could people do?
People can visit our website in the first instance, www.ispca.ie, go into the dog section, and there are multiple breeds of dogs, different types of dogs there, looking for homes the length and the breadth of the country, and indeed here in Donegal as well. So we would urge people, to consider adopting a dog rather than going out and sourcing or buying a dog in the first place. Our dog pounds are full throughout the country. They're looking for homes for those dogs as well. So we would urge people, to adopt rather than purchase dogs.
Yeah, and I mean, they are true animal lovers, but that really would be an act of love to give a good home to one of these dogs. Right, so, I mean, the Irish public are world-renowned for their generosity, and are never found wanting in the area of supporting the likes of the ISPCA as well. There has been a very significant response from the public, but as you mentioned, you need more assistance. Tell us about that.
Yeah, for example, Greg, we have reached capacity at all our centres within the ISPCA, and unfortunately we had to take the tough decision of enlisting the private boarding kennels, for the want of a better word, which has placed a substantial unforeseen cost to the organisation. The public have been very, very kind to the ISPCA down through the years, and we're asking them to step up to the plate again if they can, and make a donation to help the ISPCA and support the ISPCA and our mission not to leave any animal that needs our services or our help behind. And the public can do that by donating at www.ispca.ie or by contacting the ISPCA directly on 043 33 25 035.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much for your time. Kevin McGinley, Superintendent Inspector with the ISPCA. They're into injury time in the first half of Ireland's World Cup opener against the co-hosts Australia. Just turning 2 minutes into 6 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. And the score currently is Australia 0, Ireland 0. Ireland under quite a significant period of pressure in the last 10 minutes, probably through the whole half, but I haven't been privy to all of it. Okay, we'll be back with our final guest of the show after the messages.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Dergfest Music Festival Castle Derg presents Europe's premier Queen tribute act, Queen, Sunday, July 30th at the Dergfest Big Top Castle Derg, plus ABBA tribute to Bjorn Identity and tributes to U2 and Lady Gaga. Tickets $27.50. See dergfest.co.uk. Sponsored by Castle Glass Castle Derg. Strictly over 18s.
Tax breaks for farmers in the spotlight. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Find out how changes could impact farm transfers, inheritance and capital gains tax rates for farmers. Suckler farmers hit back at Teagasc's prediction of herd collapse. New €150 per calf scheme proposed. What happens next for rewetting in the nature restoration law? Plus in Irish country living, how to save money by registering family members as farm employees.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
This summer, visit Belfast. Discover a jam-packed calendar of events and experiences for an adventure as unique as the city. Enjoy concerts, culture and lively debates at Fela and Fubble, Ireland's biggest community arts festival. Make room for a food tour in the iconic Cathedral Quarter, or why not take in a Turner Prize winner at the Ulster Museum? In Belfast, there's always something new, and it's all up to you. So what are you waiting for? Plan your getaway today at visitbelfast.com.
Now, the Council of the Bar of Ireland has recommended withdrawal of services to its members who are criminal law practitioners in pursuit of a meaningful, independent and time-limited mechanism to determine the fees payable to barristers by the Director of Public Prosecutions under the Criminal Justice Legal Aid Scheme. Aoife McNichol is a barrister from Gorta Hawk and joins us on the programme now. Aoife, thank you for your time today.
How you doing, Greg? Thanks for having me on.
Right, okay. So, I mean, maybe some people will have sort of got a grasp of what this is all about with my introduction there, but maybe if you could explain it to us in more simple terms.
Well, I suppose at the crux of it all is that the criminal justice system at the minute, which obviously serves the public and victims of crime and so on, it's just under a huge amount of strain at the minute. And what this withdrawal of services is about is really that it cuts to fee.
Okay, if unfortunately that line's not fantastic, maybe you might be able to move slightly for us. I think you were going on to say there that effectively, given cuts that were implemented during the financial crisis, barristers are down 40% in real terms over the course of the last couple of decades.
That's correct, Greg, and I hope that you can hear me a bit better now. Yeah, so that's since 2002, really, Greg, and those cuts, the effect of them really is that, you know, it's putting the criminal justice system, insofar as barristers are prosecuting and defending, under huge strain. And bear in mind, these cuts continue to be continuing in place at a time when the work has become obviously much more complex and burdensome. Obviously, we're now in a digital era. Back in 2002, there was no such thing as iPhones and smartphones. So that's only one example of how cases have just become much more complex. And I suppose just to give you a history of how that 40% came about, first of all, in 2008, there was the removal of the link between the public sector pay in general and and under the criminal. And then there was the FEMPI cuts that was applied across the public sector pay, 8% in 2009 and 8% in 2010.
All right, Aoife, unfortunately that line is failing us on again. It is an important issue. I wonder maybe if we might be able to reconnect with you on a better line tomorrow morning, Aoife. Would you be available if we could maybe make contact with you?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah,
Greg.
well, we'll arrange that off. I mean, you might be very... Well, I'll just ask you one final question, if that's okay, and we can still return to it. What does the withdrawal of services look like from a public perspective?
Well, unfortunately, we're reluctant to do it, but we're at an impasse on this issue. And what it looks like is that there won't be a barrister available in...
Right, okay. That line isn't great, Aoife, and it is an important issue. So if you or even maybe one of your colleagues will be available to us, we can return to that tomorrow. That's Aoife McNichol, barrister from Go to Hook, and unfortunately just the line letting us down just to get that across. It's not locked in yet, as Aoife was saying, but it is a road that they feel they're being pushed down. A caller says doctors get a load of bad press, but dentists are worse in this caller's opinion. They say that she was suffering with a toothache and could not get a dentist appointment at all. In addition to this, when you call the emergency dentist, you get through to a voicemail that tells you to go to Now Doc. Well, okay. Could you ask the gentleman that was referencing the American gender study why there are not 100% female utility, engineering, plumbing companies, construction, electrical, mechanical, sewage, etc., and let them compete with companies that get the best person for the job, whatever that job is? If women want to go for these trades, they're more than catered for, seeing as there hasn't been a prospectus issued in the last 20 years that hasn't one of them plastered over the front of it. I'm not really sure that that's what that study was about at all. Maybe there was something mentioned within that piece that I missed, but I don't know exactly. I think you are making a point. I'm not sure if it is completely relevant to what we were talking about. Apologies if it is. By the way, it's half-time 0-0. Brilliant to be going in at the break for Ireland goalless against the host Australia. And it hasn't been an ugly game either. You know, sometimes when you see a team set up to play defensively, you think, oh, it's going to be puke. But it hasn't been, actually. And there have been a few attacking opportunities for the Irish women as well. So it is half-time. 52 minutes in total played in the first half. Australia 0, Ireland 0. A caller says everyone has a responsibility for raising and looking after children, even if they are not your own. You have a duty of care. This will not be a 50-50 split 24/7, 365 days a year. It's a team sport and should be worked at as a team. That's why you talk it through with your partner. Still, probably better to have the fella fixing the roof and herself nursing the cubs. The design of the two dictates this. Maybe that was a man's brief. We can't all be blamed for that. Maybe it was a committee. You see, I think also too, this is a sentiment study about what men want. So you're saying men should fix the roof, herself could look after the cubs, but that's not necessarily what couples want or what the men want in a modern day relationship. Maybe they don't want it to be quite like that. Has the RTE commentator not got a soundproof box? I can't hear a word he's saying. I don't know. I'm not privy to the commentary in studio. I can just see the pictures, but look, stay with us here in Highland Radio and watch the pictures, the best of both worlds. Okay, it is Friday tomorrow, and genuinely I can't believe we're through another week almost already. We'll be back at 9 o'clock with our Friday panel, another great trio of guests to talk through the major stories and issues of the day and of the week, of course. Michael and Fanula, I think, are in with us then from 11 o'clock until 12 noon, and plenty more in between to keep you